remember where you wrote it down.
Yeah, but
There are levels. There are
no,
levels.
it is a little book, man. You know the little pretty book that I have
Oh,
that you
that yeah.
commented on, that
The one with
my beloved Michelle gave to
yes,
me. Good
yeah,
morning, darling. How are you?
yeah.
Recovering well.
Yeah, we really do need to say give a special shout out to Mrs. Palmer, who lends you to us so early in the morning every day for 4 days of the week. Good morning, Michelle. I do look forward to seeing you soon. I've been asking Pastor Percival. I've been asking Pastor Percy
The
to.
penny section over there saying something.
I know, we ignore the penny
That
section. Today is a
man.
day for dollars.
Some dollars for
Not take no
true.
pennies today.
Yeah.
Yeah, but really a special shout out to Michelle. And you know, Miss Eden?
Yes.
Ah,
Hi,
bless
Eden. Good
God
morning,
is
Eden.
blessing Miss Eden is on her way to work. I thank you, sir. So college, job, she's God is answering prayers in that direction.
Oh,
So
bless God.
bless God indeed. She's heading off to work.
Well, that's great.
Um, yeah. Wow.
What a
So
thing. And so many things happen quickly.
so many
So mine won't
things.
cut mine won't on the way.
You know you're next in the list of God.
No man, me want you to come up ahead of me, because if you come up ahead of me in a
You
good
know
stead,
you
in a good stead.
either way, that is the running joke in the house. Whoever gets blessed, it's good for the other one.
Yes, it
No
is.
competition.
It is.
And
And
that's
that
the
speaks
best.
another principle, you know.
Yes, it
When
does.
somebody is blessed, let us be happy for them. Let's celebrate them. Because this is where envy God, the green-eyed months are coming to the wake and they say, so on to me.
What happened to me? And you start to try
And do it.
and steal the other man's blessing instead of celebrating it so that its abundance will overflow in your
Yeah,
direction.
man.
That's
Be
how we
happy.
look at it.
Be happy. Be happy for people.
Yeah.
Don't be envious of people. Give thanks.
But you posed a very interesting scenario earlier. When you wake up, what you do? You check with your creator and confirm instructions for the day.
What you
And you
say?
look at what you're doing and you position yourself. So
And
as
always open to
as you
shift.
step out, you're on point.
Yeah.
So then you wonder, what do other leaders do when they get up? I mean, are they moving from one crisis to the next and they wake up in stress and struggle, or do they wake up with that peace and that knowledge that I have authority, I will use it to the best of my ability, and I will ensure that I am checking it against these standards?
Yeah.
I learned a long time ago how to test my decision making against
You mean the
those
optimist test?
standards. No, I don't know the optimist test.
The creed, is it good? Is it, the 5 year?
No,
I've never seen.
I actually use James test. Is it
Oh,
the wisdom from above?
okay.
Am I doing it because I'm angry and frustrated
Oh,
and I want to
my.
get back at someone?
Oh, Jesus.
Am I doing it because I'm trying to make a quick buck and doesn't really matter where it come from? Am I doing it? You understand?
You need to write it as the TMC test.
The T-
The TMC test in the morning. When you wake up in the morning and you are looking at your day, what is it that motivates you? What is it that keeps you in check? What are
Yeah.
the boundaries, indeed, that you have? Will it be pleasing
Will
to
it be
God? Will
pleasing
it
to
be
God?
looking out for the
Ultimately,
poor
yeah.
and the vulnerable? Is it about me? Am I at the center of it, or is it other people centered?
Other
Because
system,
because
right.
that's what love really is
Because
about.
that's what it is.
Love is about.
Yeah.
Oh,
All right, so Pastor is going to develop a TMC test.
a TMC test. I to check by you get up in the
Yes.
morning and you say, okay, all right, I have this day ahead of me. Whether you are somebody who is working on a truck, or you're a CEO, whatever you're doing, you're a teacher, you're a student, what do you look for? How do you train yourself? Because the truth is, as it says in the Romans passage, be not conformed, but be transformed by the renewing of
The
your
renewing of
mind.
your
The decisions you take on a daily basis is how you take it from the spiritual
Yeah.
into the physical in terms of the decision you make.
And even as simple a thing as the conversations you have
Yes.
and your choice of words and what to communicate. And you check yourself. If you heard a story and you're repeating it, why am I repeating it? Am I gossiping? Am I sharing useful information? Am I seeking to encourage and uplift? Even if it's information about your own life. Because sometimes when you're sharing information about your own life and you're calling it testimony, the Lord is calling it boasting.
You have to be careful.
Yeah, because you say, oh Lord, I am so blessed. And and they start to tell you all the many things that fell into their lap while you're thinking, Lord, I've just been praying for a pair of shoes for my child. Lord, I've just been trying to pay school fee. And this lady, you giving her 2, 3 cars.
No,
She
Jesus.
can't choose which one to drive
Oh,
from
my
one day to
Lord.
the next.
I will say,
And somebody else says,
I will say, in terms of
you
shoes,
have
how
to
much
be.
shoes you can wear one time, Mr. Producer?
Depends on the sizes.
Depends on the sizes. So depend.
All right, I told you, we agreed we were not going to the penny section. We're not getting anything useful out of there this morning. But it's just you can apply that principle in every single thing that you do, every decision that you're about to take. You can test it to check your heart position.
True.
Why am I doing this? Even if you're choosing food, you look at it. Am I choosing it based on price? Am I choosing it because I want something that's not good for me and I can't usually eat it at home, so I'm out here.
You understand?
Yeah, you can. Yes,
Too much salt.
when you hit the street and you start to have things that you can't have at home. What am I doing? Am I honoring the temple of
Yeah,
my
because
body, in which the Holy
For
Spirit?
some of us who are hypertensive and they cut salt out of the thing, them say, but a lot of the processed food is where you're getting the salt
Yeah.
from. You don't even know.
Yeah. So
You go natural.
you can test every decision you
Eat
make
from the land.
against that. But I want to ask your opinion on a thing that our Prime Minister has said, which of all the things he has said recently,
He's been saying many
this
things.
one. He said that he has passed the stage of needing to win political popularity and favor. It does not matter to me anymore. And I'm thinking to myself,
Why do you make a statement like that?
if you are put in power because the people find favor in you and think that you will do the best job, and you get to the stage in the job where you don't care what the people think, I'm just trying to understand,
His statement.
yes, why.
To weigh in on that statement,
why
why would
you
he say
a
that?
thing like that? Now, if you're trying to say, I don't even say why you would say, why would you say a thing like that? You don't rule by the divine right of kings.
Not anymore.
You don't rule by virtue of your military might. You rule in a democratic environment
You wonder
because
about
people
that.
chose you to be the leader. And if you at some point in the job decide that you don't care what the people think anymore,
Step away.
what did you say?
Step away.
No need to shout.
No, I said it and you said, what did I say? I'm saying you step away.
Yeah.
Because
yeah.
if the person...
I don't think it was a good thing for him to say at all.
If the persons have seen you and invested, and what we need to do is to go back to those speeches that he has made when he became prime minister as to what he was going to do.
Or when he was courting the job. Which one? When he was candidate or after he won?
No, man. After he got the job the second time round.
Yes.
And he says, this is what I'm going to do. And everybody was saying, yes.
Do it, Prime Minister.
Yes,
do it.
we are 100%. Even if it was 21% of the whatever, 37. The truth is now, if you have shifted from what you set out in terms of what you wanted to do, then step away from it.
Yeah.
Step away because that is what everybody bought into. You know, think? That's what they bought into.
And, but we choose him.
And then the other thing is why he has come under so much flack is because the things that you have said, which is a litmus test for integrity, what you said is what you do, admits all of the things that are there. Because you must have known that you needed to clean the stables. Remember Hercules had to go in and clean the stable, and what he did. Somebody said, I'm going to drain the swamp.
Drain the swamp.
You know, because those are the powers. And the question is, if there's so much hanging over you, Prime Minister, in terms of what you have said and the things that you are doing, and you said, oh, but you don't care anymore.
Yeah, and I know that's not what he meant to communicate. I believe he meant to communicate that he is no longer playing to popularity politics and trying to do what looks good. He's trying to do what is right. But couldn't you just say that? Couldn't you say that my desire is to do what is right for Jamaica? The Jamaica now and the Jamaica of the future. How we long for someone who would speak in that way and seek to preserve something that is good and noble for the next generation.
Yeah, but
You could say that.
yeah,
Instead,
but
he says something that suggests exactly what we have believed for a long time, that he does not care what the people think or what the people need. He's doing something that he's pulling out of his own imagination. He then says something which seems to be a response to my 2.5 acres comment. He says,
the 2.5 acres
yes,
coming.
man.
You think
He-
that them listening, them
he
taking,
says,
taking
he
talk
says
from
that
them?
the government has to be very economical with the limited land resource that is available.
So why one man get 1,400?
I said,
One
what?
man get 1,400.
You have,
One man get 3,000 something to farm, and then
and there's much that we don't
know.
know.
Yes.
And you bring out bulldozers over 2.5 acres and talking about it as being economical with a scarce resource. The first thing is that land is not a scarce resource. Land is a finite
So
resource.
yes, that's a difference.
Very big difference. And the policies that they impose on the use and development of land is entirely up to us. We can change it. And the additional thing about how they address development is that it can change.
Yeah,
You
it
see
can.
everything that we build up here, just like how we went in with the bulldozers and tore down something. We can tear down things too.
But I think it, I'm getting a sense from a psychological perspective. If I were to read what he's saying,
Yes.
he's been very stung, like a bee sting you,
Yes.
and hurt by what has been said in regards to what has happened. And the truth is, Mr. Prime Minister, I say it, and I said it Monday in jest. I wonder, sir, if you are being set up. That is. No, but let me explain what I
have to
mean.
remember to ignore the penny section.
No, the penny section will get a mic.
I think the penny section should get
But
a
set up.
mic.
Because it is somebody related a story to me.
Yes, he's being set up. You know why I said that? I'm agreeing with you now. Because that is how God used their own strategies to confound them.
Yeah, because that's what we said.
It's a setup.
Yeah, in terms, I remember when I read
Yeah.
from Isaiah 44 yesterday.
Yeah, it is a setup.
In terms of God uses their counsels.
Absolutely. To confound them, and
yes.
create chaos and
Yeah.
confusion and cause them to expose their true heart.
Yeah.
Because they set off on that jaunt
Mm-hmm.
and then they're confronted by the reality of the crying women
Yeah.
and the people whose blood, sweat, and tears they have now reduced to rubble. Now he has to appear to be reasonable. And so he's saying things that are confusing even to his own team. This is him now saying that he has to be reasonable and fair, that enforcing the law is a priority. And this is even as they move to provide a formal, fair, and efficient process to give all Jamaicans the opportunity to own their own homes. Now, all the time they're distributing land, right up to today, what were they doing? It was not fair, it was not formal, it was not efficient. That's a confession right there.
It was self-interest.
Yes. And what do the people do while you are moving towards this fair and efficient process? Survive on air, cling to the ground, live on the tree. Life is happening while you are trying to create a process.
Because
and while you are creating the process, your people are taking and giving
Yes.
themselves and satisfying their bellies.
Yeah, and you see, that is an interesting and important commentary on what is happening. You are the chief of ministers. You know everything
Everything
that
that
is
is-
happening. You
yeah.
know who are the power brokers. You know who are the gravelicious ones. Remember that term? The two gravelicious, the craven one. And you can say no. But what is happening now, the thing of integrity, everybody have something for everybody.
Yep, yep. So, yes, it's a setup, but it's not a setup by human hands.
A divine
the
intervention.
divine intervention, because by ourselves we can't even get close to the truth.
That is why I
So-
jokingly said that them can come with the air and them butt and things.
Yes.
When God, because God sits high and low and him look and him
And-
is
yeah,
omnipotent, him omnipresent, him just Allah.
And we have only what he gives us.
Yes.
No matter how bad we think we are.
And him just watch
Yeah.
it and I say, watch I wonder over there. So, but you see, and this is an important point that I keep telling people. The devil is not omnipotent, nor omnipresent,
omniscient.
or is none of those.
None of those.
And a lot of times, even in terms of how we speak, we ascribing to him power him not have.
Yeah.
That's some of the time somebody joking and say, they must have sit down and say, they might blame me for all
Call
of the
me
things.
name.
They might call me name
Well,
for.
I'll take it.
What they might call me name for?
Take one for the
And
team.
them do them own thing. When I call me name for, you don't stop call up the name, no? Like in a situation and people are call up your name.
And now, here's another Slater fan. The Prime Minister has equated what has happened to an attack on the rule of law. How does the rule of law come into play here? There are many illegal buildings all over the country, and not a soul is going to tear them down, but you're going to tear down those 10 buildings on 2.5 acres of land. All right, it's time for the break. We flew past it in our zeal. Let's take the 7 a.m. break.
Best 100 FM is the authentic voice of Jamaica, promoting your prosperity with better vibes and better music. Let us promote your goods and services for you. Advertise with us. For more information, call our office at 876-276-8935. That's 276-8935.
This is your beloved Pastor Percy from the Morning Connection. Support our commitment to Jamaica by joining us on Wednesday mornings at 7:30 when we pray for the nation. Show us you care. Advertise with us. For more information, call our offices at 876 276 8935.
Best 100 FM is the authentic voice of Jamaica, promoting your prosperity with better vibes and better music. Let us promote your goods and services for you. Advertise with us. For more information, call our office at 876 276 8935. That's 276 8935.
Welcome back, and of course, thank you for staying with us. This is the Morning Connection, coming to you from the Ligani Club in Kingston, Jamaica. We, of course, owe a debt of gratitude to the club for allowing us to use their beautiful gardens on our free-flowing Thursday mornings. And just a reminder that the Ligani Club is your premier sporting location in Kingston. In fact, I think it is the largest single sporting facility in the English-speaking Caribbean, with six
You mean
squash courts,
privately owned?
8.
Privately owned or?
It is not privately owned in the sense that it's a private members club, but it's owned by a collection of persons who,
1,000 people.
yes. So you can become an owner by entering into membership with
Okay.
the club. There are hotel rooms which are, nicely and conveniently appointed to suit the needs of a business traveler. We have a large size swimming pool that can accommodate just about swimming of any level. And we have walking trails. We're located right next to Emancipation Park, just about. So if you want a little bit more of nature, it's within the vicinity. A full service gymnasium that would be the envy of any sports club, I believe.
Okay.
Did I mention squash and tennis already?
Squash, tennis.
Squash,
They play
tennis,
basketball.
swimming. Well, no, there's no basketball.
They need to
court.
put in a half
But
court
you
here.
can put in, that's
So they
easy.
can bring on the NBA stars so come to Kingston and you're not out of the lure
Well, I
of
know
the lights.
you are working on a basketball initiative, so
Yeah, man. So we
I will
get it and
count
make
on you
some
to
connections.
make a proposal.
Uh,
And
uh.
while you're here, be sure to check out JD's Urban Pub,
Yeah.
where
Ooh.
you get delicious local fare, and they have a lovely bar for the after-hours relaxation.
Just as we are on the sporting um, theme or topic, just want to mention too that beginning today, and I've seen two ladies here, and one of them is recognizable. They have come for the Americas, the IFNAF Americas qualifiers for the next Netball World Championship. And you know that Jamaica is number 2 in the world in terms of netball because we recently at the Commonwealth Games ended up being in the final against
Oh, yeah.
Australia. So we welcome them and we welcome
Who's
the-
number one?
I think
who are we deposing?
Australia is number 1. We are number 2. New Zealand is 3, and England is 4 in terms of the world rankings. But it's the only team sport, and kudos to the women that we are ranked so highly, but yet they don't get the support like football and other team sports. I guess you think that is discrimination based on allocation of resources? As a woman, you figure that because we are so high up and highly recognized, we have never fallen below number 5 in the world in netball. What do you think?
Yeah, but to really test the equity of the situation, you would have to examine what do people get in return for investment in the various sports. Meaning, if you're talking about even the allocation of national funds, public funds,
Through sports
or
development
through
fund.
sports development, right? Then you would look at an equitable analysis. An analysis of the equity would require you to consider how many persons are in it, how does it contribute to national well-being in an overall sense, how pervasive is it in terms of as a national sport.
Very pervasive.
The fact that is it gender specific? I don't
No,
really
they
see
have male.
men.
They have a national male netball league now in
Yeah.
Jamaica.
Well, I suspect that if that grows and it's a mixed gender sport, it might develop a more interesting profile.
Yeah,
And
but-
if you're talking about advertising dollars, advertisers are looking at what impact it will have on the product that they sell and so on. So I always find it an interesting exercise to look at the distribution of resources, like in sports or other, gender-based areas of endeavor.
Yes.
A lot of the things that women do don't get the level of support. Not even tennis.
I think
The-
they've
the
reached
purse-
where
the
it's equal.
purse is
It's gone.
different.
It's equal now. In
But
recent times.
it took a journey.
Yeah, it took a journey for them to get there, but now they're on equal footing.
And so you have to look at what is the path that you need to take to be in that position of equality, because it's very much tied to what do I get for my dollar when I put it over here or over
So that's
there.
a real question then.
That's the real question.
Not whether it's discrimination
No,
or
no.
gender thing.
Yeah,
It's what is it? So
It might appear discriminatory, but it might be legitimate.
Legitimate
Yes, yes,
discrimination
there is legitimate discrimination.
because of the spend.
There's a concept of legitimate discrimination
Oh,
where, and that's how subsidies arise, where you might offer a subsidy to one thing and it has the impact of discriminating against another. But the reason why you are creating the subsidy is within the parameters of a law that permits it.
okay. All right. So
So
that makes
it
a whole
may
lot of
appear
sense.
discriminatory, but when you analyze it properly, it's not inequitable.
You know, well, I'm glad that you have said it as a female, because
Ah,
a lot of the times when they go and say, look how netball doing so well. And the man, them not even in the top 50 or 60, and them get the pie of the thing. But now there's now women's football. Oh, because Jamaica is in the second
and they're
World Cup
doing better
than
than
the
the men
men. Yeah,
did, but
so,
not getting the same support
yeah.
either. Are they?
No,
I don't
no,
think.
that's
Yeah.
what people are
But
saying.
in all fairness, like when you watch sports, some of the things that the women do way less exciting, way less interesting. That's the truth of it. That's the truth of it. Women's basketball. Do you watch women's basketball?
Yeah. Them,
Is it as exciting as
oh
the
man,
men?
they slamming and they jamming and they doing the plays behind the back and all the. Recently that was just
Yeah.
concluded the double NBA,
Right.
which
Are they?
according to
But
America,
do they get the same kind of
up
money
there-
and so on
I
as
don't
the
know if they
men?
get the same kind of money, but when you have the women's game, the arena is
Yeah.
as filled as with the males.
So they're on their journey to equality.
Yeah.
Because whenever you see when it hits that meter, then it justifies itself because the money is there for it.
Serious.
But like women's cricket, what about women's cricket?
That's
Same level of
increasing.
support.
I'm not so sure. It's getting there because they have their own World Cup and thing, but not as
So
with the
it's so
men.
again, it's a journey. It's a journey, and you have to make that journey, and you can't be frustrated because it takes time.
You remember the famous with Billie Jean King and this gentleman, they say he would beat her, and there was
Tennis.
tennis, and it's like in the 60s or early 70s, and she beat him. So that he was said, "There's no way a woman can beat me. I will beat." And it was a big challenge.
And
Billie
then
Jean.
the debate came as to whether Billie Jean King was really a woman.
Sure, man. Billie Jean King was a woman.
Was?
Is a
She
woman. I think Billie Jean.
No, but it's much the way that persons talk about. It's much the way people talk about Semenya,
Yeah. But
because
that's,
there are some powerful women that are a little bit. They are women plus.
you know about women, plus they are
Yeah,
women.
they're women plus. They have more testosterone than the ordinary.
How did we get there anyway?
You drew me there.
No, but I like your comments. I think you've been very balanced. And you sure he's a female or
I'm
you're
a
back
woman
good?
plus.
You're a woman. What in regards to
One of a kind, man, woman plus. There's a headline of the JTA president. We met with her here, delightful Miss LaSonja Harrison, and she's calling for divine intervention in schools. Now, I love it how that's what she said, and that's what made the headline. But what she actually did was make a very specific proposal. She says, "I call on righteous men and women of the clergy to seek greater levels of partnership with schools in their locale to offer spiritual support as administrators and teachers do the best they can with the resources at their disposal to treat with this increasing challenge."
She was referring to
I'm
the
sure
increase in violence.
She refers to what she called an evil that is taking over in schools. And yes, Percy, it is the blood violence, not just the
And not just simply
oppositional
coffee.
defiance and
I know
bad
ODP,
behavior.
I know oppositional defiance
Yeah.
disorder.
No,
It's blood.
Blood,
The
no.
blood sport. That's
Blood
what.
sport in school, yes. 2 fatal stabbing incidents recorded since the year. The
One in
KT young
Kingston
lady,
and one in
and,
Trelawney.
and see, as you talk about the gender issue, one is 2 young women fighting.
And then the other one was male
Yeah.
fighting
And the
over
other one.
gathering. So when you talk about gathering,
So-
you know, say you need spiritual intervention
Yes.
because that is in the realm of the supernatural. Because you saying that when you have this gathering, I am protected.
You're invincible.
Yes. And it's a major thing though,
Yeah.
And if you speak about the impact with the Broadcast Commission yesterday, in terms of the scamming and the the scamming and the chopper and the thing, you know that how that became popular, was through music, the guard ring and the fact that it protects you. Because some of the guys, if you listen, if you could do
How what became popular?
the guard ring,
Yes.
the impact of it,
Right.
right?
Okay. The
So
guard
that
ring
ring
became popular through the music.
Yeah, man.
The
Man said, me have my guard ring
references to
to,
the
to,
music.
to protect me, so you can't do me nothing.
There's a debate in a Percy that we can touch on it here, but we certainly wouldn't engage in it. Does art imitate life, or life imitate art? We know. We don't even have to ask. It's not even like the chicken and the egg. We
Which come
know.
first?
Yeah, we know that art imitates life. Art is a commentary on life, which is one of the things that an attorney who commented on the Broadcast Commission's move.
Royal.
Yes, early in the day, he was talking about shutting down the
Creative.
descriptor element in the artistic output when it describes what is before, when it is a mirror holding up to society what exists.
So this is
Do
what
we
it is,
break the
innit?
mirror and think that by breaking the mirror we
No,
have
you don't break
addressed the
them, you have
problem?
to change it.
Okay, so you do understand what I'm saying. Guard rings were not made popular by music.
You were in the culture already.
It's in the culture.
Just that the man them and youth them know about it. Because them
Yeah.
youth they couldn't afford to go to a Obia man. Is that what is a
to
serious
make
thing?
to make their contract for
No
their
man,
guard
them,
ring.
no man,
Yeah.
you couldn't.
Yeah.
If you go to a Obia man, enough money, girl.
Yeah, it is.
How much is, man?
But you get the point.
Yeah, but it's
Yeah.
over. The point is, you remember before the highway, there's Mount Rasa, and there was a guy, and you would pass going
Most
up, and you
famous
see,
Oberman in
and you'd
Jamaica.
pass, and you see all of these Benz, and you say, I was surprised in the earlier days when you used to go Benz, I-N car. I said, these are the people who are coming here.
I thought those were his cars.
As he managed to have so much
Rece-
car.
received in payment for-
It
for
could have
services
been.
rendered.
It could have been. We
Yeah,
make light of
but,
it, but it is.
Yeah,
it's a serious
so
thing.
there is that we kind of miss a beat where when we are thinking that it is the artist's work that is fueling the drive in.
They're just reflecting
They're
what
just
is in the
reflecting.
culture.
It's a mirror.
So
They're
we have
holding
to
it
go in
up.
and change the culture.
We gotta
Like,
go.
to change the
So,
culture.
for example, there is the president of the JTA saying, when you see something that is of another dimension manifesting in the behavior of your children, you gotta answer it with the right weapon, the right tool.
Yeah, because if you don't,
yeah.
otherwise you're missing the mark.
Yeah. So if you can characterize it as evil, anti every godly principle,
Then you do
destined
the
towards destruction and not life,
Mm-hmm.
then you have to answer it with the right weapon. And the right weapon is in the hands. She says it's in the hands of the clergy. There may be a debate about.
who's the clergy. But,
Yes.
but she's made a
but
very
she's-
important
She's
point.
made an important point.
And
It's
just
like
to-
taking a knife to a gunfight.
Oh, that's what I was about to say. You pull
Really?
it. Yes.
I'm so sorry. Go ahead and
No,
say
but
it.
no, but you have said it that you're taking a knife to a gunfight when you don't. A knife will not help you. You have to go with the right tools in order to fight.
The bullet reach you before you draw your knife.
Unless you're on the thing you're sighting bullets like what you see in movies. Man shoot that.
Right weapon. You
The
need
right
the right
weapon.
weapon, and she's calling it out. I hope that the churches or the clergy responds.
I hope so too.
I know that there is a hesitance in responding because many of us don't live the kind of life that would enable us to respond to the kind of evil that is being displayed. Because you know that you can't. Then again, you become the knife in the gunfight. The people think they call a gunman, but when you show up, you can't even.
You don't know what you're up
You don't know
against.
what you're up against, and you can't meet it because you are so easily discomfited by what you see and overwhelmed by what you see.
And the spiritual warfare.
Yes.
There is warfare.
There
There is
is.
spiritual warfare.
Absolutely.
Let us call
There
it what
is.
it is.
Yeah, there
Because
is.
whether we like it or not, there's two realms, the physical and the spiritual realm. But even the spiritual realm, there's good and evil. So the question is, how will we fight it?
Now, I do not want us to go too far into the morning without talking about the government resisting a very reasonable and inevitable conclusion that this ban on music is about using moral structures to address crime and violence. Why do you think they would deny it? Morgan says the ban is about decency standards, but it is but not admitting that the government is trying to use it to address crime and violence. Why would they shy away from admitting that that's what is being done? I don't. You recognize that that's what's being done. If you are trying to impose purity laws through regulation, and the thing you have targeted is music that promotes or glorify crime and violence.
That glorifies
Obviously,
wrongdoing.
that is one of your strategies. Why would they hide from that? I don't understand. The Broadcasting Commission is set up to do exactly that, you know.
The censor.
Absolutely, maintain standards.
And there's nothing wrong with saying
And
these
why
are the
would it-
standards.
yes.
Yes. The standards are the standards. The question is,
I don't
are we gone down
understand.
so far that we think the standards are there, but they are really not there, because guess what has happened? The house bolt and gone through the gate, and people have been saying, if you, it's like I see it and I say, if you do that, and I say to my children, because putting on my father, if you do that, having been there and done that, this is what is going to happen. Because there are some things as night,
Follows day.
this
Or
is what
day
is going
follows
to
night.
happen. So if you have a breakdown in terms of leadership, the political structure, and the things that they do and they figure that it's okay for them to do it, why do they not believe that everybody is not going to follow astray? No, ask the question. If everybody know and say, okay, you are corrupt, you are most corrupt, and he says, all right, the guys who are singing these songs, they said, this is a way for make a quick money, you know. So I'm in a business, what want to say?
They comment on it in a catchy beat,
Yes.
and it finds favor with the people who say, "Ah, true, you know, ah, true. What look how them a live."
Yeah, so
And
we
that
want
I
to live
do
the
it.
same way they too.
And that I
And
do
what
it.
we have said is that, remember a politician always say, if you go away you get knife? I would say. Remember that statement? That if you do things the proper way, you get shafted. You're shafted. That's how you go?
Yeah, I don't remember that.
I think
sounds
Peter,
like-
I think it was Peter Phillips that said it. Something about knife and shaft.
oh.
That comment.
This is something about what goes on in prison.
No, man. No.
Oh,
He was talking about in terms of if you do things. I'm trying to remember the exact statement.
oh, I see what
The
you're saying. When
statement.
you do things the right way, you end up being
Being-
penalized anyway.
Yeah.
So you might as well. Yeah, I was wondering what. Anyway, let me go into why I raised the point with you, just to report on it. I was watching it and I wasn't quite sure what was going down. Robert Morgan, who's the Minister of Information, with responsibility for information,
Some people have another name for you,
yeah.
but all right, leave it at that.
he has been quoted as saying that the government is not using the Broadcasting Commission to battle crime by censoring radio content. He's saying instead that the Act and the regulations are very clear that you cannot promote illegality or you cannot promote content that violates your license. Now, the first thing Mr. Morgan should we are going past the hour. I think it's these new microphones that we have. Yeah, it's 7:32. All right, we'll be right back. Good morning and welcome back. To those watching us online, you will see that we are without the headphones. It's very confusing. Oh, it's only on, it's only for free flowing Thursdays. Yeah, it's very confusing. We're getting so relaxed sitting around as if Percy and I are just having breakfast. I was probing Percy's thoughts
And the
on
broadcast
the,
commission.
the minister's reluctance
To say.
to admit that the government is addressing issues of public morality through the imposition of regulations. It's the very thing that we call on them to do in most instances where there is an issue affecting what is happening in the public spaces
Use of
under the
public
licenses
resources.
and permits that they issue. And so here is an opportune moment for him to say yes.
You recognize, I mean, I think.
The Broadcasting Commission has a responsibility to guard public morality. They have a responsibility.
So I'd suggested yesterday, probably a bit like how they rate movies. You go into the movies and it says PG or R or whatever.
Yeah,
You
so
put
you know
songs in the category.
absolutely.
So you better maintain. But then movies take much longer to produce. But I could go into the studio today, be inspired, and next, and in a week I release something on the air. So the question is, in real, how do you monitor that if you're born to rate your songs? You know, that just the logistics of getting it done. But to me,
You're going to get some gospel songs now decrying. The same artists, are going to do some gospel songs commenting on it, but commenting on it in a way that is not promoting it, in a way that is decrying it.
you're crying it. You
Yes.
think that's what's going to happen?
Listen, just like how this is Love in There,
Mm.
you have artists who have that ability
Satire.
to be very satirical
Yeah.
in their lyrical content. And that's exactly somebody is taking all those words and making a song.
I think
to-
they
to-
like Prophet and Nuts and them guys.
Yes.
Ooh.
And when they do it,
Yesteryear, yeah.
and when they do it, all they're offering is social commentary on what has happened.
And they're going to do it, you know.
And they
The
should
wise
do it.
one, the wise ones will do it.
They should
The
do
smart
it.
ones will do it in regards to it. But I think even as you talk about leadership's responsibility to promote things that reflect the body politic in terms of what is acceptable in terms of morals and things. You think leaders should do that? Do you think they have a
Of course, they have a responsibility to
do
include
it?
that in their remit.
So in the same way that they've used the Broadcast Commission to get this done, what about corruption?
And violence against women or
yeah,
children,
What about those things?
or against the elderly,
Yeah.
or you have to say corruption in high places.
Yeah, man.
is
And
something
knowing about it
yeah.
in the contracts, why don't we do it? This is what people are saying, And I think this is just my personal thing, that a rejection, what a lot of these they have rejected, in a way, the normal way of obtaining wealth. To say, but we not do it too. So we're going to find another way to do it. So nobody stop with progress. Because you have a theory, I don't know if we reach theory yet, hypothesis.
Which one?
I'm just going to state something. Because a long time ago I said, do you know that once upon a time in Jamaica, everybody wanted to say, yeah man, we do it the right way. Work hard and things. But some man said, but hold on. Them man, they not work hard. And them are reap the spoils. Talking about the plantation class. So we are going to set up with gang and we are going to do a thing and we are going to run it. And we are going to bribe policemen like how them do it and do everything. So what say you? I'm just thinking about it in terms of they coming up with an alternate way. All right. I obey the law. Policeman stop me. Good. But we see this, and we have had cases of that. Policeman stop another man and then just pay him off. So why me can't do it? So I'll get the money in order to do it. So that's why a lot of people have said.
So that's your hypothesis?
Yeah.
What's the hypothesis?
That they have come up with a way that says that we're going to run counter, we're going to take our fate into our own hand, we're going to get the money, whether it is legal or illegal, and we're going to pay our way through the system.
So that's they who they
The other, not the man from the ghetto who said, me I go run, have a gang and thing and do my thing. What do you think?
I'm seeking to understand it better.
Okay. So,
Before,
all right.
Before
The man who
because
plays, the man who plays fair always gets shafted.
oh, that's what you were trying to remember.
Yeah, the man who plays fair always gets shafted. The man who plays by the rule doesn't get anywhere normally.
Oh, okay.
So what I'm
Who's
seeking to
lapel?
do, so what I'm seeking to
Actually,
do,
while you're reading it, Conrad gave us the correct word. If you play by the rules, you get shafted.
yeah, yeah.
Right.
So I'm playing by the rules and I get shafted. I said that man, the rules are there, but he finds a way to pay his way, uses influence and so on. But the thing, as somebody once said, money answered all things. So me I get the money, whether me get the money legally or illegally, me have my money. As long as me have my money, me can do anything, I can pay off anybody, so me good to go. What do you think?
I honestly do not believe that people make decisions quite like that. I know we do a lot of imitation, meaning, we just mimic what we see. But I really believe that that a lot of circumstances move or work together to shift a person into a particular direction. I think all of us start off wanting to get things the right way, a safe way, a way that is sustainable, and the left or right turns that we make is very much dependent on who we meet at the juncture. We meet a good person who say, I can help you and you accomplish this, we go with him. We meet a different person who says, no man, make we head this way. And that's why we are always emphasizing what happens in the home, because when you come to that place of choice, how you choose is very dependent on what's been poured into you. And I think it's the same whether you come out of a wealthy community or a poor community, a good household or a bad household, or the environment in which you were nurtured. I think it's the same, because you always have the people who say, boy, I always remember my granny, I said this or that. But granny is mother to the father who is in jail or who has turned in some corner that you could follow. But you for some reason, something positive stuck with you that influenced you when you came to the left or right. If you were to
explain the concept of the emergence of dons in our culture as a major thing.
The emergence of dons is a breakdown in the proper policing of communities.
You know, you can be a don and you not kill nobody.
You don't. You're the person of influence who's you're a person of influence whose opinion matter to the people because you have made yourself reliable and trustworthy to them. Whether it's because you give them money or you give advice or you have a show of strength which causes them to be fearful of your reaction or treatment. Dons emerge. You know, they have a saying, I know scientists say that's nonsense, but they have a saying that nature abhors a vacuum. But there's no true vacuum.
No, that's true. So you understand.
But to the uninformed,
so the absence
nature
of
abhors
the real law and order in communities, the don emerges to run the things.
Yes.
So, but I say people, okay. So that's in communities. Do we think we have a don run in Jamaica?
Well, a community varies based on size, what you call a community.
Yes.
So there's a global community.
Yes.
There's a
regional
community.
wanted to be a don and him, and another dan run, another dan book up another set of don.
If he's not challenged, it will emerge.
Okay.
So for me, it is something exists in counterpoint to another. When you had such a peaceful um, you know, no fuss. People are content, able to, you do your little farming or you do your little commercial activity, whatever it is you're doing, but you're making ends meet, your children are taken care of, your needs are being met in a basic way, you have decent infrastructure, you can move about freely without somehow the environment in which you live is functioning and you don't have to be pulling any special levers
And
to,
special
to,
strings.
to right to go about your daily activities. You don't even know if there's a dawn. But when you get to the point where September comes, you don't have enough money, da 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 da, somebody, there has to be a strong man somewhere that you can go to and say, can you tide me over? Can you this, whatever. A don can be the best shopkeeper who gave enough credit to people that they could live. And he eventually amassed so much social credit out of those arrangements that he became a person of influence. Now, if
Like
he's a
how the
good
former
person,
teacher and
like how the teacher
teacher
and the
and
JP
JP and
and
they used to
so
be in
on
the
used to
community.
be the dons.
So what you're saying, as we press along with this,
Yeah,
the
press
so-called
along.
hypothesis that I have come up with, that what we have seen emerge over time is the breakdown in terms of the social structure has allowed for these people to just
To
come to the
emerge.
fore
Yeah.
and then them run in communities. And then when Mr. Omar saying now, we must flush them out. The criminals, we must flush them out.
How are you going to flush out what is essential to your life without a replacement? It's an impossibility. Those communities can no more flush them out than Homer could walk away from his political network of whatever it is he does.
So he's asking them to make a sacrifice when they are not willing to do
When
it.
you are not putting anything on the altar.
But that is what it is about. That is why it is hypocritical when people come out and speak a lot of times about calling people to do this. You remember a few months ago when the Prime Minister was talking about sacrifice
Well,
and
for the civil
servants
servants,
and
civil
things.
servants must eat ear pie as a
Yes.
sacrifice. Really? How far you think you're going to get on ear pie?
When you see right in front of you all of the things that are happening, some people say it's not true in Augusta, but I am saying when you listen to some of the stories, when you hear the land grab that is happening, you see all of these things, and you're saying to yourself, really? It's common sense, you know. You say to yourself, this don't make no sense to me. For whatever you are speaking or doing, show me your action then. And I think this is the point where most Jamaicans have reached. Stop the talking now. Let us see the real action. As somebody would say, bring forth the fruit that line up with true repentance. To say that I have totally rejected this way of being and doing, and I'm gonna walk right according to what the righteousness of God and the justice of God is about. Because it's not two separate things, you know.
One.
It's one
It has
thing.
integrity.
Yeah, the whole concept of integrity. And a lot of people are saying, oh, we hear you, Mr. Prime Minister. But really, Mr. Prime Minister? Really, Mr. Prime Minister? And we hear a lot of people speaking. And I'm saying, remember, there is my friend of many, many years. One time him say, you see, some of these people are say writing or commenting on somebody writing in the paper. I'm saying, can't say nothing to me. Because we know otherwise. So that is where we are at. And then somebody yesterday, as we move, said, what happened to that made a drug bus? That was the
Yes.
front line.
Yeah.
What happened to it? Nobody no get charged? Nobody no get
No word have
no
we,
word. It was made. How much it was? 25 million US dollar worth,
3
with
billion
Jamaican dollars worth, I
of
think.
cocaine.
All for one.
Yep.
Where it was going?
Arriving at a private airport, well,
Not
on
private.
a private plane,
Yeah.
at an
At
international airport, you would think that it would be the easiest of things to get to
Over plane.
a small list
Over plane.
of
It
persons
can't enter Jamaican airspace
Yeah.
without
declaring
doing
something.
and
Yeah.
registering. 'Cause
While there is in the news today a report that a St. Ann farmer, Alan Reed, reportedly held with $420,000 worth of cocaine in his luggage at the airport in Montego Bay, has been offered bail in the sum of $2 million. So you see they're making progress. Let me see what date this was and see if we can estimate a timeline. When did this happen? October 1. October 1. Just the other day by standards. So let me tell you, it is kind of the way the Prime Minister made a statement that his move against the people in Clifton was to quell an assault on the supremacy of law, because laws must be upheld. And as he is...
What time to Noel Reid?
As he is,
what time to Royal Reid?
As he is seeking to portray it, he was preserving the rule of law by tearing down these people's homes. And then it leaves you to ask questions like, okay, so is that the most egregious threat to the rule of law in this country?
Yes, it is.
How do we respond to the other threats
Yes, it
that
is.
are even more devastating in terms of impact and value and so on?
And social and the repercussions and
right,
the message
ripple
that I was
effect.
saying, what is the message?
Yeah.
That is how people have responded. We've seen that and we say, oh, we have to do or make our own way with all of what is happening.
Yeah. So you have, I guess the threats vary. Those people on 2.5 acres of land in a little part of St. Catherine that I don't know what impact you would say that would have on the whole nation. That infraction required bringing out the big guns to protect the supremacy of law. But when you find $25 million worth of cocaine at an international airport,
In transit.
that don't require bringing out the
No,
big
man.
guns.
Mm-mm.
And all of the other things that have happened. The many cases of corruption that get to the level where they should be prosecuted or we should have taken. And we're not saying that he should go in and interfere with how the courts are proceeding. But at the point when it was discovered, you remember it took a long while before the government itself conceded that this required them to take the man out of service, all the different things. They started up with a presumption of innocence argument that suggested you can't touch him until he's indicted and convicted. If
Easy
it's
to
left
do.
to the Prime Minister, he would still be doing his work, because until you are convicted of a crime, you should be given the protection of the state.
Yeah.
That's how it appeared in the early days. And we've seen that kind of response many times to various things.
I mean, that's a serious thing, sister. Serious.
That's why I called it a sleight of hand. Anyway,
A slate of hand.
that's what I call it.
Yeah.
I was calling it
A
that.
slate of mouth.
Yeah, because you bring out your guns and then you want people to believe that you're doing it to protect against a greater threat.
But you did, when the Prime Minister did stand up in our Parliament last week and say, yes! You remember when he did the statement? And then they said, hold on. You have to be back what?
You have to backtrack.
Backpedaling.
Yes. Yes. All right. Let's stop talking about the Prime Minister. Why do we always come back to him? Chief Servant.
Chief Servant.
The Chief Servant.
Whether we like it or
The
not.
Chief Servant.
Sets the tone,
Yes.
sets the trend. Whether we like it or not. Uneasy lies the head that wears the crown.
Earl Brown is asking what happened to the two men who were knocking off that lock.
Arrested.
Yeah, they were arrested and charged, Earl. We wait to see if the judge is going to say, why are these men here?
Look what about.
Where is it? Malicious destruction of property.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't really. I would never condone misbehavior, but I think we need to spend resources prosecuting the things that are of greater significance. A man who says I was under pressure because my sick child and I was trying to get home and I was trying to get through this place and I apologize. I went too far. What would you do with him in the petty sessions court? Because given the cost of the lock, I don't think it's gonna rise above the petty sessions court. What would you do with him in the petty sessions court?
I don't know. It's a petty session thing. That's what it is.
I would imagine so.
It's larceny,
If it
breaking and
no,
entering.
if
What is
it's
it?
no, well, it's what was he was trying to get through. I've never seen that gate closed. The barrier that by
No, man, it's been
by
closed,
the
man.
gorge.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I've driven when the water comes up.
Right, I've never gone there
And seen
when
it closed.
when it's closed.
I've seen
so
it
it's
closed.
closed as a safety measure.
Measure, right.
Right. So it would be malicious destruction of property.
Okay.
Or he's
Then-
not breaking and entering because he's just trying to
Man must break
Get
in
past the
and
gate.
enter. Man must break in to enter to go to.
pass through. It was because it's a
Well,
public road.
No,
So I'm
sir.
gonna assume it would be a malicious destruction of property.
A public property.
Right.
So it's in
And
this-
it would be dependent on the value of the property. And he didn't actually break it. It really just, I don't think he broke it. He didn't get through, from what I recall. So the value of it would determine where it goes.
Okay. Well,
So
I'm just understanding.
I'm assuming it would be a petty sessions offense. So I'm saying you now as
It's more the optics than anything.
as a JP, if that came to you, what would your thoughts be on it? When the man
Community
explained
service.
himself. Yeah, assign him to some community service. Yeah, because he must keep a sober mind and know how to
You act and
handle
behave in
stress.
every situation, yeah.
Yeah, that's it. So,
It's interesting though.
it's a small issue that you could address easily and maybe even through it create a good link with the community.
But some people will contend in the small things that lead to the bigger things.
But it's how you respond to them
Yeah.
is what will prevent it from leading to the bigger things. Because let's say now you put him in jail.
Lord
And
have
he get
mercy.
bitter.
Maybe I think so.
And get-
Jeez.
You understand what I'm saying? When he comes out, what will he do?
All right. So today is Thursday. On Tuesday night, I was going home, and I stopped and I saw this taxi park. There wasn't a red plate, but you could see it was a taxi man late night, trying to get people home. Because after a certain time in that area, you can't really get anything. It's a man who run the robot and thing. Anyway, so he's parked on the right-hand side of the road. Should have been on the left. And then I see a police vehicle come up. So the police vehicle comes up to him. He's blowing. I don't know if the gentleman was concerned or something, I never see. But anyway, policeman then puts the car in front of him. He was on the wrong side of the road. So he shouldn't have been there. Car come out, two of them. I'm there sitting in my vehicle watching everything, and I'm saying, okay. There are two ways you can deal with it, you know. You can see the gentleman and say, you know, sir, you're on the wrong side of the road. You're not supposed to. Can you just move your vehicle? No. He parks the police vehicle, blocks it. So there's no way the man can get away, and then he tickets him. And I'm saying to myself, if I was that policeman, I don't know if the gentleman was a habitual offender. Or it was just late night he was trying to do. Just say to you, sir, you know you're not supposed to be parked there. Can you just move your vehicle, please, sir? You're on the wrong side of the road and you're obstructing it.
So
The man end up and get a ticket. And I said, I was explaining. Yeah. The man I explained,
Oh.
yeah. And I thought about it and I said, you know,
all right, we get it. And please, when we come back, you'll have to tell me, what does it mean, World Chicken Day? Today is World Chicken Day.
it's World Person Day.
Person to chick?
Yeah.
All right, I go with that. Let's You'll have to explain that. Welcome back to the Morning Connection. I tell you, Thursdays, I just hope that our listeners are in a very tolerant and forgiving mode when they see Percy and me just get lazy on Thursday.
I don't get
On
lazy. I'm
free-flowing
working. I'm
Thursday.
working. I'm working.
It feels lazy to me. We just kind of go very mellow.
No, but
Percival say I'm not a good, what you said, I'm not a good influence.
some of the times you're not a good influence.
Some of the times. You got to explain that. How am I not a good influence some of the time?
I can't tell the listeners what you were encouraging me to do.
I said a little music and dancing. What did I say? Singing and dancing?
Singing and
A
dancing.
little
I want to
singing
know
and
so me
dancing.
can't sing already, so influencing me not to do good things, My wife would say to me all the times. You know that
Don't
if
give
you
up your
could
day
sing,
job.
so God didn't give you that. But I'm going to learn to sing. You can learn to sing. Yeah.
Of course you can. All right. Early in the week, Percy,
Can't teach your old dog this.
you knew
A
that.
good thing, Sam is not a dog.
Who is on the front page of the. Who is this person, do you think?
I don't know.
Wrong question I'm asking you. All right. So, you know that earlier in the week, I was sharing
About-
on false prophets.
Yes.
And I promised then that we would take a walk through pandemic years and just consider the prophets of that season and the impact they had on the world. Of course, everybody know that the chief prophet would have been Mr. Fauci, Dr. Fauci.
No? Was no,
And
and now
Fauci and the
started recanted
CDC.
some of his things that he said, even as he's retiring in this end of this year. You know that, right?
I did not know. Prophets retire.
Well, he's retiring.
Decommissioned.
Become decommissioned because based on what they say is happening in the midterms, which is in November, about 10, 20 days away, it looks like it's going to be a red map.
So, one of the reasons I raised it is because we're always looking at the world through the lens of how we become confused or how illusions are created that misdirect us. And we get pulled from purpose and we get pulled into situations that harm us rather than bring us abundance and joy. And Earl said we must make a joyful noise unto the Lord. I was trying Earl, but he fought me off. Meaning Percy fought me off, not the Lord.
God bless the name of Jesus.
So I just felt that there's a need for us to develop an understanding of who we listen to, where we take our cues for making our plans, and always be mindful that there are two roads set before us. You can choose life or you can choose disobedience and destruction. With life comes obedience
Deuteronomy
to
28.
some fundamental principles that emanate from the throne of God. Make no mistake about it, that's where they come from. There's only one source of life. That's all?
Yeah.
Anything else
It's a counterfeit.
is a counter. Right.
It's a counterfeit.
So just to have a good foundation in understanding how to interpret what's going on in your environment and use it to make decisions that are good for you. So it became necessary to understand that the sources of our information have to be queued up against the source of life.
True.
All right. And so I just said, let's look back at what we've just gone through and see who was right and who was wrong. Because
Who was right and who was
and
wrong?
who was
with?
wrong? Because the prophets, for Jeremiah the prophet, do you remember Hananiah? Hananiah was a prophet in the temple. He and Jeremiah were working in the same time period.
And say, you remember what happened? When
I
Ananiah
do.
was saying, and Jeremiah saying, yeah, you go
So,
on.
so let's lay the foundation of
That
it.
was so funny.
Because in that discourse between the prophet Hananiah and the prophet Jeremiah, Jeremiah set a standard. He said, the prophet who is proven to be right
He's a real prophet.
is the real prophet. So you don't have to guess, oh, who's right or wrong. The proof of the pudding is indeed in the eating.
Whenever we're going to get pudding this morning to eat with our breakfast. That nice
That is
pudding
the-
last week.
you're taking free flowing Thursday. So he's
That's some
taking.
nice bread pudding last
All
week
right,
with the
no.
breakfast.
Percy's abusing free flowing Thursday, making a point of order. I can't say a word pudding and you got off. It was delicious pudding.
Yeah.
So that's a good plug for JD's
The
Urban
Urban
Pub.
Blood, yes.
It was a delicious bread pudding. And so you're hoping for pudding.
Yes, man.
You'll get the proof of it in the eating. Yeah, so you have these two prophets called to serve in the same time. So they're both men of God,
True.
working
Very
with the
much
priests.
so.
Yeah. The kingdom of Judah is under condemnation for after years of rebellion, and war is threatened.
Southern
So
Kingdom.
just like how right now Russia and Ukraine are
And the G7.
doing their thing, and the
Everybody
G7 is
is being-
meeting, and
I'm saying that watch it now, because they are prepared for, for nuclear warfare.
and Neville said World War III is here, and many pronouncements are being made. Some are saying peace, some are saying disaster, whatever the thing might be. Some are saying it's because of this, some saying it's because of that, and you now have to take some decisions concerning your own well-being. Where do I keep my money? Do I convert from gold to
Some people advertising that.
food? What do I do?
Oh boy.
So you have two prophets now who are speaking on it. Prophet number 1 says, this is what the Lord Almighty, the God of Israel says. I will break the yoke of the king of Babylon. Within 2 years, I will bring back to this place all the articles of the Lord's house that Nebuchadnezzar had taken to Babylon. Jeremiah is saying a different thing. Jeremiah is saying, that's not what I'm hearing.
That's not the true source.
That's not what God is saying. God is saying that the rest of the articles that are here are going to follow. And more people are going to go into captivity. It's going to get worse. Now, if you can see yourself as a member of the population, a member of the public,
Yeah.
you're wanting to hear that things will get better at home. You're wanting to hear that there will be a resistance and it will be successful, and God of Israel, who has taken you through many battles in the past, is going to come through for you. That is what would give you comfort. You don't want to hear that you must submit yourself and go into exile. But the prophet Jeremiah was saying, it is not going to be resolved as quickly as this man is saying. Instead, more of you will go. And he had the Lord had even given him a letter to send to the people there and say, when you go there, this is how you should behave. Jeremiah said a very interesting thing to Hananiah, and I'm saying it to the people of Jamaica now.
I broke it. It was very dramatic, you know.
He says, the prophet who prophesies peace will be recognized as the one sent by the Lord only if his prediction comes true. So that's the measurement. When someone makes a prediction, it is only measured against its reality. Did it come true? So we're now testing. We've gone through 2 years of COVID, and there were some things.
Remember all of the things that they told us would happen?
Oh, yes, man.
But
As they were forcing the vaccine
on people and
into
said
our
that it
veins.
is, and even now, boy, I tell you, it's so unfortunate. It is so, not even unfortunate, so wicked. And people are reflecting and saying, boy, these people are the agenda and them force people the narrative of it. This is going to happen, everybody going to dead off.
Yes, and if you don't do this.
And look what has happened now, that some countries like Canada recently removed all things from thing. And some countries, Denmark became wise, because I related 2 weeks ago that Denmark said nobody under 60 must get this vaccine. They must say, you must get it, and people are still pushing it, People in some still pushing that people must get vaccine and get booster with all of the evidence that has continued to emerge that said something is not so right with what is happening. And them say, this could not happen. But one of the things that emerged, and I was just peeping over at your thing, the futurologists who have predicted a lot of stuff. Some of the things
Those
they have
prophets.
spoken are happening. But I am not surprised.
Yes.
Because if you
those
go into
things-
the book of
those
Revelation,
are not real predictions.
those
They
are
were
not
just
real.
repeating what has already
They've
been said. Yeah.
Because when we couldn't imagine it, that there would come a time that you can't buy or sell or do anything without getting this mark. And we know in the realm of it has started to happen. It started to happen in a lot of places. You go to Sweden and you just scan the thing and them have all the information and you have to carry no card. So said, yeah. So people please listen. But even as they have said all of these things in terms of their prophetic role, John was in the spirit. And John saw a lot of these things happening. Some that were fulfilled then, but he was speaking about the future. And he was coming out of whose presence? He was carried in the spirit, into the realm of the presence of God. And God said, look, right. These things.
We know during the time of the pandemic, we, under inspiration, were saying, don't say conspiracy and fear what the others are fearing. Look to safeguarding your immune health.
True.
Look to the security of your food supply.
Yes.
Coming down the pack, I didn't know about war in Ukraine when we were saying these things about food security, but we did see that coming down the pike will be some greater years of hardship that is going to require you as a country to be more dependent on the resources
internally
within your borders, and the health and well-being of your people must be a priority. I remember even going to the World Bank report on the wealth of nations and saying even the world, the people of the world are concluding that your greatest strength and resource is your people, and social investments must be the order of the day in this season. Invest in your people, give them good infrastructure, give them good education, make sure they are healthy, ensure their food supply is not compromised, and watch your country grow. Out of it too came my own revelation that there is great wealth in the culture of the people that needs to be understood, preserved, maintained, exploited for their growth and prosperity. So I know that in the same way that the people are the greatest resource, the cultural expressions of the people will be the source of wealth and inspiration.
I guess it goes without saying. Culture.
So
people are.
I'm just putting it there in a context of guiding us in appreciating the voice that is coming from the heart of God, what it is saying. People need to be mindful of, and how we need to guide ourselves in this season. Whether you are hearing predictions of war or predictions of peace, it will only be proven in the reality that ensues.
True.
Whichever one comes through is what God has
but
ordained.
Ultimately,
yeah.
all of what has been said.
Between Hananiah and
Jeremiah,
Hananiah was very vicious towards Jeremiah, broke the yoke that God had told Jeremiah to place around his neck to symbolize the coming captivity. The man actually assaulted Jeremiah, broke it off. Jeremiah
so the Lord broke the yoke.
And then the Lord gave him a word and said, go back to your enemy Hananiah, because now he's enemy, and tell him that the wooden yoke that you broke, I will place a yoke of iron around your neck. Why am I saying this? It is because there are many persons in our modern day society who are being hostile in imposing their will on the Jamaican people in order to manipulate and control. And the same violence with which you impose your will, you will be subjected to that treatment when it is time for you to be held to account. And the day of accounting comes for every one of us. The day of judgment comes for every decision that you make. You know that I used to think judgment is at the end of a run. There is a judgment on every decision that you make.
You never know that.
You feel I'm emphasizing it. I'm not saying that
Okay,
I
but
was
I was
one of
saying,
those.
no, but it's true.
Yeah.
Some people say
Every decision that you make,
it is judged.
it is judged. You
Judge, judge,
receive a
judge whether it's
judgment on
right
it.
or wrong, and then you see the
Yes, you live with
consequences.
the consequence of it. So, as
Me
we
if
are
it tell
going
you,
through using our power arbitrarily or oppressively, just know that you are held to account for it. So, between those two, within 7 months of Hananiah's breaking of the yoke, he was dead.
he was there,
Yes, the Lord took him. He died within in the 7 month of the same year.
and then as he had spoken that was Jeremiah 28, and God was saying to them, all right, this is what's going to happen after 70 years. Remember that,
Yeah.
and we often quote Jeremiah 29 verse 11, but
All right.
that
So,
was the context to that was the
oh, my
background.
dear, it wasn't 7 months after he made it. So, in the fifth month of the year, Hananiah and Jeremiah squared off with their competing prophecies. That's in month 5. Let's say that's May. In the 7th month of that same year, so 2 months later,
Man, dead.
2 months later, Hananiah the prophet died
Wow.
because he rejected the true word of God spoken by someone who had actually been given a word from the Lord. He used his imagination and his desire to tell the people what they want to hear.
Itching
And he
ears.
gave, yes, and he gave a pronouncement. Just like when, people come and tell us that, yeah, you need to do this and do that because so and so. They are moving to an agenda. None of them consulted to see whether or not
What
what
God
they're
said.
saying is in keeping with the will of God.
They keep talking about the remnant,
Yeah.
and it just reminds us of the remnant is the people who know their God
And remain strong.
and will do great things on His behalf. So
Yeah.
just live in that reality in terms of your situation every day. Kind of rough and tough, but you continue to live and be what God has called you to be in the time.
Let me repeat what was said to Hananiah. The prophet Jeremiah said to Hananiah the prophet, "The Lord has not sent you, yet you have persuaded this nation to trust in lies. Therefore, this is what the Lord says: I am about to remove you from the face of the earth. This very year you are going to die because you have preached rebellion against the Lord." In the 7th month, that's 2 months later, of that same year, Hananiah the prophet died. Now, this notion of preaching rebellion against the Lord, it is placing on us a responsibility to discern what the will of God is. When you're in a time of punishment, you must take your punishment. It's the same reason why when we pronounce a sentence of imprisonment on a man, we don't expect him to rile up and move against it. We expect him to go into prison and serve his time. So when you know that the consequence of this behavior is X, and X reach you,
You know, sir, because of what you do.
you know it's because of what you did. You must move now into repentance, not rebellion.
And you have the option always to choose the other way. Choose
And
He did say
always.
who you'll serve.
Always.
And you come back to
Always. So you see, like, even look at it now from, you're now in prison because the consequence of your wrongdoing is a term of imprisonment. When you're there and you have the opportunity to be rehabilitated,
be rehabilitated.
or you want to join some gang in the corner that is trying to mastermind things from behind prison walls.
Aye.
And do you see what I'm saying?
You're
In
speaking to
literal
some
ways.
real issues.
Yes, in literal ways. And if you are the keeper of the prison, you want to have the men in there serving time and you keep oppressing them, or are you going to open up opportunities for them to be reformed and to come back into the society as fruitful citizens? These are the real modern day narration
You're knocking
of
at some
how
nice
these,
doors there, though.
yeah,
That is
modern
another.
day.
No, me say you're knocking
Which
at
one?
some real doors, raising some other
Yeah.
issues that are important, which goes back to where I started in terms of being accountable for your action. When you get up in the day,
Yes.
what it is that you're doing, how do you see the day, how do you see yourself, what it is that God has said. He's put it so simple: righteousness, justice. Are my actions right? Am I acting in a fair and a just way? Am I a merciful person? Am I following back up the truth?
Yes.
So it keeps checking
It
us.
keeps, yeah,
Yeah, so the
every which
remnant.
way you look at it. I get concerned that even when we talk about accountability, we are not translating it
Into real
into
terms.
real terms that our leaders can understand. This is what we mean and expect. Time for the 8:30 break. When we return, we're going to have our first guest of the morning. So we will shift gears and begin to look at how a prince, a giant in this nation,
That's
is
right.
seeking to be accountable to the customers whom they serve. Our guest will be Winsome McCallum, Director of Communications for JPS. And she's already on site, so we're looking forward to speaking with her when we return from this break. Welcome back.
Well, in the break, the ladies were exchanging wonderful stories.
All right. Welcome. We are so pleased to have Winston. Did I call you Winston? I have to think about that, because we're
Hello.
prophetic at this table.
No.
Mr. Palmer, I will not allow you to get away with that.
Which is what?
McCallum?
No, man. Sorry, I said Callum.
No.
All right, it's free flowing Thursday.
No,
Winston,
no.
please forgive us. We've been.
So
Anybody
if your
would
name
think.
was to change to McCallum, you'd have a problem. Become
No, it's
Mrs.
not going to
McCallum.
change to McCallum.
Okay, specifically if
If
she
it's
were
going to change, it's something a little bit more dramatic, but not McCallum.
I hear you.
specifically a Winston McCallum, because I was saying Winston, you said McCallum, so we have introduced a whole new person.
A new gentleman in our life.
We have introduced a whole new individual into Winston's affairs. Welcome. It's always a pleasure to see you.
Thank you.
We were describing you, I don't know if you were overhearing, we were describing your company as one of the princes, a giant in this land, whose partnership with the people is essential to a successful foray into the future. And we were not overselling it, because energy is at the heart of everything that will move this country forward. And I think Jamaicans beginning to see JPS not as a predator, but as a partner is an important paradigm shift that we've got to make.
Has to be a part.
So welcome, and thank you for being a part of what we're trying to accomplish in just shifting the imagination of people in new direction. How was your break?
Oh, it was good. It was good. I was refreshed
And she's looking it. She's looking high energy compared to me and Percy. Percy, wake up.
I told him the secret already, and I was
Coffee.
taking me on.
Blue Mountain. And we're at the place for it. It's not too hard. But you don't drink coffee. Percy need tea.
None of the above.
Not tea either. What you need? Is it, can we say it on air without the broadcasting corporate? Sending out a new directive.
Oh, Lord have mercy. No, myself and coffee doesn't work, actually. When I was on campus and people were studying and they'll drink the coffee, man. When I drank the coffee, I went to sleep. Instead of beat matter, I got through the night. I was falling asleep, so I know it never worked for me. I don't know.
Yeah, that is a Palmer gene, because the same thing happened to me.
Yes.
Coffee overstimulated me to the point of shutting me down. It's like I would just feel like buzzy and then down.
It
And then,
crashed.
and then I
I never had coffee on campus. I didn't, well, I only started drinking coffee recently in the last few years because I grew up in an environment where coffee was not allowed. It's a stimulant,
right.
so it wasn't allowed in my home. And I didn't
So
have
you
it on
broke out
campus.
after all this time.
In my environment, now I find that I need,
It's an
need a stimulant.
Did that boost?
yeah. Apparently it works. I mean, we're not going to confess the things that were used on campus to keep all of us alert and focused, because some of the things
Run away, she going with that tea.
we're not going to confess. No, later in life, when I heard people talk about the things they did, I'm like, whoa, I didn't even know those things were happening.
Yeah.
You were the good one.
But what happens on campus stays on campus.
Stays
right?
on campus. Campus is the new Vegas. So you missed storm riding through Ian.
Oh yes, I mean the thing is I'm away, but because I know how my company is impacted when there's a hurricane, I had to tune
You're
in.
still on duty.
I couldn't couldn't ignore it. Thankfully, we did not get the hurricane directly, so we just had some out of bands, and we had some outages, but my company, the people who work with JPS, they trust me, they turn up in a crisis, like seriously turn up. So
Need for that. Built for hard times,
yeah.
some might say. So are we fully
guys
recovered?
Came out and really, really.
Are we
gave
fully
their best.
recovered, would you say?
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah,
We have.
okay.
We have.
So it's business as normal now.
So we're back to business, and one of the things that we're focusing on now. Last week, Friday, as you know, was National Tree Planting Day, and we focus on tree planting because of our commitment to sustainability, and we talk about sustainable energy, but we also talk about taking care of the environment. And at JPS, we take safety and the environment very seriously. It's actually baked into our safety creed, because we say no schedule is so important, no service so urgent, no emergency so great that we cannot take the time to work safely and take care of the environment. That's our safety creed. So in the past few years, we've been doing a lot more than just working safely. We've been doing more to ensure that the environment is actually integrated in our planning and also in our corporate outreach. So last week was very pivotal for us in terms of our community engagement and school engagement.
So what was the focus of your activities?
The JPS Foundation was very, very busy. We worked with about 10 schools right across the island to plant trees. You know that the government had a commitment that was made in 2019 to plant 3 million trees.
So you're a part of that?
Absolutely. And we're doing it in a number of ways. We're working with the schools. The foundation has energy clubs in several high schools. So we're working with those
primary
schools.
schools?
No, not
High schools.
primary. Well, the energy clubs are more for CSEC and
The
KIPS
older students.
because what we do is support the curriculum for the exams.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'll tell you about the energy clubs in a little bit. But last week we went into primary schools also and high schools, and we gave them farming tools, equipment to help with taking care, maintaining and planting trees. And we also, I think we planted in total last Friday alone 150 trees.
Oh, that's a
Right.
so
And
you've taken a rise. Yeah.
it's a small step.
Towards
but
the 3 million.
Last year we planted 100, so it's a step up.
Incremental,
We're
incremental
doing
growth.
more to really push this a little further. The forestry department, I don't know if you're aware, they have a tree planting competition in schools right across the island.
I did not know that.
Yes,
I know they're
and
usually.
it was launched last month, and it goes to next March, and it really is to get the students involved in contributing to this 3 million target.
3 million.
So,
So are they planting? They put the seedlings in for replanting somewhere else later, or you are planting where you live?
No. You can choose where you plant. You plant in parks. You plant at school. You plant at home. But the forestry department provides the seedlings and guidance on how and where to plant.
Okay,
So
because we don't want random trees
Absolutely. And
growing under your lines, your power
interestingly,
lines.
well, I want to talk about that too, but interestingly, there's some locations that the forestry department would not approve for
planting trees. Yes.
And some of them, are basic, very obvious reasons where animals come in and eat them, and they're in the path where people will trample on them. So they give guidance to the students.
Because I imagine they're guarding against soil erosion in vulnerable places as well, which is where you need the root systems.
Absolutely, and it's an important way of teaching children about sustainability and how they can contribute to
to it. Beautiful.
So the JPS Foundation is on board as a sponsor of the National Tree Planting Competition. And what we're doing, our primary focus of the foundation is really high schools. So we're giving the first prize for the high school that plants the most trees, and that's a first prize of $300,000 to the school. We're also giving a cash prize to the high school student who plants the most outstanding student, and the most outstanding teacher. And the foundation is also giving the awards for the most innovative schools. And the competition, that's the people who find the most creative ways of maximizing.
trees.
Yes, I mean, you'd be surprised at how creative these young people can be. So the competition is open to schools right across the island in the basic, primary, high school, and tertiary levels. So the different categories, they can go on the Forestry Department's website and apply. And look forward to getting those attractive prizes.
Yes, I suspect like schools in the rural areas that have plenty trees already.
Well,
Are they fully engaged?
They are. We're working with Anata Bay, Green Pond Primary, Fern Court, which is in St. Anna,
Yes.
Merlin Otte High, Manning School. So these are all out of
You don't see
schools.
Montmorey Primary School there?
Not just yet.
I shall make sure they're on it.
So
That's my
these are the
primary
ones that we are working with directly. We went into these schools last Friday and have continued to work with them, providing the
Tools
equipment
and
and tools. Right.
Oh,
So,
Seems like that JPS goes, as we head towards Christmas, is becoming Santa Claus.
well, I wouldn't quite say Santa Claus, but remember, we've always partnered with our stakeholders, regardless of whether they are consumers who we're converting to become customers,
Yes.
whether they are already customers, or whether they're the leaders of the future, which the children are. But you raised a point earlier, Minute, about how to plant trees safely, and I want to just remind persons that we're using this opportunity as a sponsor of the National Tree Planting Competition to remind persons of how to plant trees safely. Now, first and foremost, power outages are very often caused by trees coming in contact with the lines. So while we want you to plant 3 million trees, and the country already is, I think, maybe at the halfway mark, we're getting to that target. But while we go out and plant trees, make sure we plant trees that will not go into the power lines. That's very important.
Very, very important. So you don't want to be enabling people to have to go cut down the same trees where you go plant.
or
Precisely.
4 years from now, we have a ratch of problems.
Yeah, we don't want that. So
Yeah.
plant the trees away from power lines. What do we mean? Trees like apple trees and so on, plant them between 10 and 20 feet away from the power lines.
power line.
We don't want children climbing these trees and getting electrocuted.
Yes, yes.
We don't want the people who are working in the trimming the trees, to get shocked
Yeah.
or electrocuted. One of the things that we also ask, if you have to plant trees near the power lines, make sure that they're low-growing shrubs, not the big trees. So, right, you notice along some roadways, you see people planting, doing the beautification projects
With ficus.
and you have the trees.
You see how many ficus trees
Right.
are on
And
the
then you have
side?
palms also, which grow up into the power
Yes,
lines. We don't
yes.
want that.
Yeah.
There are other plants that you can actually plant to make your beautification very effective without them going into the power line. So please consider that.
There's a question from two persons have questions for you, Miss Winsome. The first one, Patrick Howell says, "Good morning to Winsome. Please ask her about the restoration of the JPS Energy Clubs in schools. It was a great program, and I was the coordinator at Merle Grove High School."
Oh, yes. And Mergrove was one of the outstanding energy clubs.
He's listening to you.
So, yes. Hi, Patrick. So, we are, come January, we will see an active program to reactivate
The energy
Energy
clubs.
clubs.
Yeah.
What was the aim of these energy clubs? Just
we
to
still have
education.
some.
Yeah,
Yes.
education.
We still have some energy clubs that are operating, but we've had some staff attrition, and so right. So we're increasing the staff in the JPS Foundation so that we can work more closely with the
With those
schools
clubs,
to
yeah.
ensure that they benefit and they don't just have a sign that says energy club.
And no
Which
energy,
is what happens.
and no energy behind it.
And no energy behind it.
Dear
So that's something that we're working on. And I'm going to say to Merle Grove, listen out, because next month, come November, you're going to be hearing and seeing something from the JPS Foundation that will help you to reactivate your club.
Reactivate their
The
Excellent.
purpose of the energy clubs, there are a couple of objectives. Education, yes. So we get the young people involved in tangible action, tangible ways of learning about energy. So they're involved, they're exposed to the operations of the power company. They also get involved in their own research and creativity to, just learn more tangibly, hands-on about energy. Whatever they do, it actually should support the curricula for the CSEC and
Science and technology.
and CAPE. So that's one, and the energy clubs also allow for some socializing, some outreach. So a lot of energy clubs, like Immaculate, is still very active. They have their own little projects, and the students really are very
It's a
very
great
creative.
Yeah, it's a great complement to even an inventors club and anything with science and technology.
Right, so you find the
innovation
environment
clubs,
club,
right?
the science club, and they actually,
man.
some of them merge these clubs.
Yep. So Earl Brown says, "Good morning, Miss Winsome. Are the trees native trees to Jamaica? How many % of the trees are fruit trees?"
Well, I can't answer the second question because I don't know. I will have to check with the forestry department. But yes, the trees are native to Jamaica.
You got your answer, Mr. Brown. But the business about fruit trees comes up all the time, really, because a lot of our listeners are pressing for food security and for, obviously, Jamaicans to be able to feed from what we produce here.
Very,
the fruit trees part.
But again, I need to talk about those trees that are close to power lines. We've had some electrocutions, electrical shocks, because people, including children, are trying to pick the fruit from the fruit trees that are close to the power lines. So there are two things I need our listeners to bear in mind. One, if you already have a tree that could go into the power line, make sure that you keep it trimmed. If it has already grown into the power line, you need to call JPS and ask us for advice. In some cases, we will turn the power off so that you can cut it. In some cases, we cut it depending on the circumstance.
Yes.
But the important thing, there's some communities where the power lines were installed before the houses were built. So the houses, they are built in front of the power lines, and you find the lines running in people's backyards.
In the backyard.
In those cases, we have a lot of trees that have been planted, and so we have to have access to the people's property to cut their trees. And what we find, people resisting this a lot. I mean, Pembroke Hall and some communities that grew up around the power lines, they don't want us to come in to cut the trees because it's their fruit trees.
And it's their fruit trees.
It's their apple tree. And
the breadfruit tree, and those are big trees.
They are big trees. And so we have this with our customers, we're saying, guys, it's for your benefit, because you have so many outages because of these trees touching the lines.
So the
to cut
education have to increase, that people understand that.
We absolutely.
But even we're in an age now when regulations are a frequent resort to solve some of these problems. The easement that JPS enjoys for their wires and their poles and so on, doesn't it come with, I shouldn't ask you that, it ought to come with rights of access, just based on notice.
Yes.
And accepting liability for
legally.
Right. So that one doesn't even have to be quarreling with a landowner, because I tell you.
Well, in theory, we do have right of access, but when you go to a man's house and he set him bad dog, then pie you. And lock the gate, you have to have a conversation.
So then it is sensitization.
So we've made some headway. We've made some headway, and I believe that our teams on the ground have been engaging the customers. Absolutely. So door-to-door conversations, explaining to them and giving them the alternatives, showing them that if you plant the tree over here, yes, you might have to wait 4 years for it
to get a fruit.
but it's a start. It's a start by replanting or relocating.
Do you see how many things happening in contemporary times that require us to just be able to talk to each other better?
I'm telling you, we're so dependent on the gadgets and sending, but a face-to-face conversation is all you need. It's so much more effective than just sending out. I mean, I love radio because people are listening, but that's not enough.
It's
in
not
a lot
enough.
of cases.
And
it doesn't always reach everyone.
Yeah, you have to try and look somebody in the eye and make your point.
And give them an opportunity to ask you and to have the,
so it feels like a negotiated result.
So look in our face. Huh?
All right. Patrick Howell has more for you.
Hello.
Miss Winsome, he says here, being an electrical engineer, I would suggest to JPS that they spend some time advising customers to use a certified electrician to carry out leakage current tests. Leakage current contributes to high electricity usage.
Thank you for that, Mr. Howell. You are correct, because in a lot of cases when persons come to us, they say the bills are high, and we go out to do the investigation, or they get an electrician, they find that there's nothing wrong with the meter, there's leakage current. And we ask our customers to get an electrician to check your wiring and grounding every year, because it deteriorates over time.
This means throughout your whole house now.
Especially older homes, you'll find that the
our house is very old.
a big problem.
When
And once you,
Where does leakage occur? From what point?
You actually have that in the wires themselves that may break or get corroded, and you have it at the points, the connection points also, where you have.
Meaning your
corrosion.
plugs?
In some cases, yes.
And the fixture.
And in the actual wiring, so I've seen the electrician pull out the wiring, and you see the frayed wires, and you know that current is leaking there.
And that could cause fires and stuff?
Those could cause fires, yes.
Oh, wow.
So it's a safety issue as well as a money issue.
So get the electrician, and yes, he's correct, a certified, trained electrician. And you can find a list of those on the Ministry of Energy's website.
So let me ask a simple question. I won't go deeper into it. Is there any way to conduct these tests without pulling out all the wires out of your house?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, okay.
Just me. Oh, she was saying when the man conducted the test.
No, but if
No,
person,
it's not about pulling it
you don't
out.
have to literally look at the wire to know.
No, they have these fancy gadgets that they use to check the different points.
Against the wall.
Yes.
Where okay. I just imagine.
I can imagine. You literalize it,
But not just that.
So
I
when you
mean,
pull it out is when you're replacing
it.
Yeah.
Because some persons are in houses where they don't even know where the wires run. They just know where the plug is.
The electrician will help you with that.
So the idea of conducting these tests,
the important thing.
it becomes an expense. What is like the average cost of doing something like that? Is it very expensive?
I don't know. She don't know.
What do you think, Percy? Very expensive?
All right, so that is now what they call privatized, and it's not really regulated. So one electrician might charge you X and another Y. So we encourage persons to check around.
And the reason I raise it is that these preventative measures are important. But for someone on a budget, if my bill is $50,000 and running the test is $40,000, I'm going to pay my bill.
Absolutely, but
long term, it's necessary.
And here's what you do: you recognize that there's some things that are important when you own a home or you rent a home. Upkeep of the house. You plan to paint it, right?
Yes.
And if there's a leak in the roof, you fix that, right?
Yeah,
and if the window pane breaks, you fix that, right? You replace
I can paint one room at a time.
And so
Check it one plug at a time.
Yeah, exactly. Well, not necessarily one plug at a time. But here's what you do: you plan that, okay, in another 6 months, this is what I need to do.
Give it the priority in your budget.
I see a leak in my house. I said, well, I can't deal with that till about January next year. It's things like that.
Yeah.
You have to plan ahead. It's very important, and at the end of the day, you could be saving your very own life.
How often would you say one should conduct that test in a house?
So once a year, that's what.
Ideally, once a year.
You hear that, Lowell? I'm putting it in my schedule. Plant
So,
it
yeah.
in the producer's
It's
head.
important as you press the
Yeah.
words.
Percy's about to
eventually-
renovate, so you're going to.
Yeah, you have to do it. An electrician
do
to come and
Yes.
check the house and see what's happening in regards to the pothead, all of the things.
Yeah.
Because so one tenant was complaining, I just said to the electrician who was certified, said, it's a pothead, you need to clean it up and fix
Right.
it.
And some people like me, we just set it and forget it because it looked nice, and so we
and
have
it's
to
not
be
falling apart.
reminded, and you have to write it down that okay, I need to make sure that I take care of A, B, and C.
Yeah. I've done rewiring, but I've never done a leakage test. And I suspect
Well,
that
I
it's
think they
necessary.
did that before they did the rewiring.
Yeah, but the
on that
rewiring was
point.
a while back.
Okay.
So,
Well, just
so,
get them
yes,
to
it's-
come in, check your wiring and ground.
yes, that
And
is.
that's important because we protect our homes against lightning strikes, against leakage, against
So it's
a lot
both
of
safety
things.
as well as
It's
good
safety,
economy. So
it's
that's the tip of the day from JPS. I really absorbed that one.
So quick Sharon, I remind the penny
producer.
section.
It's very important.
No,
and
man,
trust
that is
me,
a big
safety,
point
safety,
you've made
safety,
there.
and that
Thank you,
comes
Mr. Howell,
home,
also.
right close to home.
Yes.
But I also want to remind our customers, in addition to remembering to get the leakage test done, do not plant trees near JPS lines.
Yes.
We really have too many
Do you
outages.
plant the trees?
We have too many outages associated with trees coming in
trees,
contact
yeah.
with lines. We need the trees. We absolutely want food security and energy security, but don't plant them.
And that again is both safety and economy.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yes.
because you save yourself. It seems like the half hour just evaporates.
It went
It flew past.
very quickly.
It's when
You want to
Yeah,
stay with
we're
us
having
for
fun.
5 minutes after the break?
I
always try.
Meeting.
But it's been wonderful to have you with us as always. Thank you for the useful tips.
And
They are
thank you so
personal to
much.
me as well as
Very good.
for what you offer to our listeners.
Thank you so much.
You are most welcome. All right. Should we take our 9 o'clock break? All right. Welcome back to the Morning Connection. Our next guest is online with us, Miss Maxine Stowe, good friend and sometimes co-host. First of all, are you hearing Maxine?
Good morning, Miss Maxine. How are you?
Morning, I'm here from windy New York.
Oh, it's windy.
Are you hearing?
Yeah, the weather is turning.
It's almost in autumn. Are we not there now? Yes, we're in
It's almost
autumn.
winter.
It's in autumn.
It's autumn, but we have been getting some 70, upper 70s, mid 70s.
Oh, so
So
it's still warm.
it's been, yeah, it's temperate, yeah.
Okay.
So
As
how
some
is Jamaica?
very warm and hot.
Hot. Wa- Warm is an understatement. Like right now, it's hot, and it's kind of still. We're not getting the breeze that's in
Oh,
New
no
York.
breeze. Okay.
No breeze, but the Legany Club continues to bloom. So we're missing you. I do hope that your trip to New York is proving fruitful.
Yes, well, it's home base. Um, I'm what do you call it, bi-coastal. I have a home in New York. I grew up here as a teenager when got most of my career is here in New York, and but always having Jamaica,
In the heart.
as no, in the heart, mind, and physically. You know. So the industry that I'm in is the Jamaican music industry. So that keeps me um, rooted in both spaces.
Child of the
So
diaspora.
child of the diaspora.
What are you up to these days?
Well, I've been working on two major projects, three. One is myself. I'm expected to launch my website, maxinesto.com, this weekend,
Oh,
as also launch the Whalers 50 project that has been celebrating four key albums of the Whalers' career: Soul Rebel, Soul Revolution, Catch a Fire, and Burning albums. And so it was kind of stalled because of COVID and Bunny Whaler's transition. But we are,
back on
getting
track.
together now, back on track, and working closely with the Peter Tosh Estate for his Earth Strong next week, where through the research and development, we found that the Burning album was actually released on his birthday, October 19th, 1973.
Okay.
And so this marks the first time that, Peter is being, integrated. His birthday is going to be integrated with the release of the album, which is good for the project because then it highlights um, that these projects involves all three members of the Whalers because it has heavily been promoted basically by Island Records, promoting, just Bob
Bob
Marley.
Marley.
So, right, right. So this year and for the 50th, there'll be a major highlight on the celebration of both Catch a Fire, which was released April 13th, 1973. Um, that it's the three whalers, Bob, Peter,
Peter.
and Bunny, who, this was
This is
what do
their
you call it,
seminal work.
seminal work, and all three continued to do the work as solo artists
Um,
and continue to do it in a major way, in a very tangible way, because they re-recorded a lot of the songs that they, created as the Wailers in their solo career as an extension of themselves.
so I'm,
So,
I'm, I'm pulling from this that the Whalers brand is a separate entity from the individual brand that each person may have created, and that there is some
part of the
significance
Wailers,
to it.
yes, major, it's like the Beatles, and still you have Paul McCartney, John Lennon, Ringo Starr, and George Harrison, that went on and did their own individual thing, but the Beatles brand stands. So it is with the Wailers, and even in a more integrated way, because all three Wailers are Rastafari, and all three Wailers' music is, comes from the same well
The same pool.
and the same catalog and the same
Yeah.
catalog.
Yes.
So One Love, Stepping Razor, Dreamland, a lot of songs that are identified with them as solo artists are actually Whaler songs that but it's not marketed because
That way.
they're
You
not
know,
all.
that's a very
Yeah, go
interesting
ahead.
point you're making because, Percy and I have been talking about the wealth of culture and the culture that wealth, um, the wealth that you can extract from culture. And I hear you now saying that there is an opportunity for these artists, for I guess any artist who is a part of a group, to earn twice. You can earn from your solo career, but if you keep your group brand alive, you can continue to earn from that as well.
Which is what happened.
Exactly.
Which is
That's
what
true.
that is
Right.
what
That's
is happening.
exactly where it is. And not only that, but you now have the industry of tribute groups, right?
Yes,
So different from you being alive, your estate can now earn not only from you as the solo and the group, but you can also now earn from tribute groups because
right.
tribute bands is a whole
A whole
another
industry.
major industry. Yeah.
You want to explain that a bit for us, Maxine? Tribute bands. What do you mean by that?
Well, bands that continue
They
to
create they create an existence by mimicking or popularizing the songs of whomever their hero is. Like how you
right.
have
So you
the
have Elvis,
the
like for
Elvis
example,
Presley
Elvis Presley.
impersonators, yes,
Oh, so you
and
mean
Michael
okay,
Jackson,
okay.
Or Grateful Dead,
yes,
or any amount of them,
yes,
right?
yes,
Sometimes they're launched when one single member is left, and they get other people around them. But the issue is that even if I'm the Temptations or the Wailers,
yes,
what I'm doing is still promoting the original work, the original identity. So it keeps
it keeps it
my
alive,
brand and my music right alive, yes.
alive, and
And then you have
sometimes it
tribute
refreshes
festivals,
it.
tribute, it
Yeah.
does. Like we have developed a Whalers Trio tribute band to go along with the Whalers 50.
Okay.
And so it also promotes individual artists. You understand? Because three individual artists come together under the
Yes,
Whalers Trio. They promote the Whalers catalog, but they also promote themselves.
themselves,
You
and
know?
then they can go back to their solo lives, do their work, and come
Exactly.
together when they choose
And
to
come
as the
together
tribute.
when
It's a fantastic
exactly.
idea.
Yes, yes.
To bring it
So
into
we're
our
in the midst.
culture is a great move on your part, Maxine. I commend you for that because a lot of the great reggae artists are no more. And we are suffering and complaining that the new music that's coming out doesn't carry with it the influence and power of the previous generation. And a tribute group or band or performer is an excellent way to bring it back to life.
Yeah, definitely. And it's different from uh, um like a son or a
Do,
daughter.
doing,
No,
yes,
no, no. What
I
I'm
see what you
saying
mean.
is it's a different energy because
Yes,
a son or a daughter do, like Natalie Cole
singing
with
your
Nat King
father's
Cole
music. Yes,
music is still different from a tribute um entity
yeah,
that would be singing Nat King Cole.
right,
Okay.
yeah,
You understand what I'm saying?
yes,
Yeah.
There's still a differentiation in carrying on the legacy, and we haven't, and in fact, I look at a band like the Scatterlights, which is a foundation band.
that name came to mind.
99% of the 99% of the group is no longer. I think it's only one person, Lester Sterling,
We're still
and he's
alive.
not even playing, right? But he's still not playing. But Scatterlights is now existing. It's still playing.
Yes, yeah,
But it now needs to be understood that that's a tribute band. It's no no longer the original band because the original members and what they've, created
Have either retired or transitioned.
are transitioned and they're now in
Yeah,
state,
yeah.
but they own the intellectual property. You can go and you can sing and earn,
Yes.
but you can't sell whalers or scatterlight merchandise
Hmm.
because you're just a tribute.
Right. You
You
wouldn't have
understand?
you
Yeah,
wouldn't have the ownership or the rights to do so.
to do so.
That's
Yeah.
that's a fantastic idea, though.
Yes.
So probably I could form a tribute band, but the only thing that could happen is that I can't sing. So I probably could bring together
A
people who
group.
can sing and say, "Let's play tribute
Of
band. I'll
course.
manage you."
And man, yes, yes, yeah.
Yeah,
Invest in it. No, it is
yeah,
such an
like the Maytals. I think the Maytals is another
that's an
um,
opportunity.
opportunity.
That is an opportunity.
Because we have the Mighty Diamonds. I don't know what is happening with them. They may be moving towards that now.
Well, you see, when you're
You know,
making these suggestions, it means you're coming home soon, because who's going to bring, who is going to do that? You and I have had conversations about how to extend the life, to bring longevity to some of these cultural assets, and we're just kind of seeing the tip of the iceberg with what can be done.
yeah, because the world will be tributing us,
Hmm.
and the same problem we're having with everything when we don't um, promote these amongst ourselves is that others are going to do it.
Who see the value
You
in it,
understand? Who see
will,
the value and
yeah,
know the industry exists,
they'll take
and
it
then
up.
you'll find that, right? For example, I think there's a Bob Marley musical that is very going on very well in England.
Yes,
Why isn't there a musical being created in
in
Jamaica
Jamaica.
from our stock? Not to deride whatever, but that's what
Hmm.
I'm saying. We should
Yes.
be going, ooh, there's a musical in London.
You know,
We should be,
no, earlier, Percy and I were commenting on this, saying that nature abhors a vacuum. If the thing is left to spoil, something is going to move in and take up the space. And I
yeah,
think
that's what our
that's the point
problem
you're
has
making.
been. A lot of things have moved in and taken up our space, and we are choking.
And then we have to fight to reclaim it. Well, I'm glad
Right.
you're on the front lines,
Let, let me
doing
let,
some of the heavy lifting.
let me ask you a question, Maxine. In just following the idea of the tribute band, in your travels, like in the US or wherever you've gone where the music is, have you seen groups emerging like you have the Wailers? Is there a tribute band that is operational now anywhere? Or is there?
I think, yes, but they have not called themselves the Wailers. They call themselves, like they find one of your popular songs
I say simmer
and
down.
say that they are the Simmer Down Band.
Okay, okay.
You,
So now
you
you're
know what I
oh,
mean?
all right. So now I'm understanding. So
Ah,
if you meet a band that is simmered down, what you'll find them playing is a lot of Wailers music.
Wailers, exactly.
Ah, no, I'm
And
getting a
a lot
better.
of times it's Bob Marley music because they don't know the
they
difference
don't know
between the Bob
Wailers as a
Marley
brand.
catalog and the Wailers catalog.
Okay.
And
Ah,
that's what the Wailers 50 is about, restoring the Wailers identity
Mm-hmm.
and linking it to their catalog so that we're of which Bob Marley is a member, 1962 to 74, that work, and also to educate about the solo careers
Okay, of the
of the
individual guys.
that
individual
they're based on no, it's heavily based
on the
in
Wailers
this
production.
on the Wailers production.
Okay.
So by educating that, then you won't hear about, oh, them broke up and you can hear
Yes,
that you understand, and
yes,
everybody trying to understand this and that, and they go to pains to say in their individual careers that they're all whalers. They'll never stop being whalers, or
yeah, yeah.
etc. But there hasn't been a business
Side three.
structure around that.
Okay.
Around that identity.
That's
Yeah,
Yeah,
wonderful.
yeah.
yeah.
So
So how are
And so
you?
that's what our company and that's what we're doing
That's what you're
in this
addressing.
instance.
That's like, that's like the building is fully built and you're going in at the foundation to restore integrity and see what,
Yes.
what comes after that.
Yes.
It's a very interesting, it's not even approach. You're just doing what is necessary at this time. Should have been done already,
Yes.
but now is the time that it's getting done. It's going to be interesting to see how it influences things going forward. Now, how are you going to launch or just draw your line in the sand? Um, what
Well,
events are
it's a,
planned?
well, it's a year of events beginning with the 49th anniversary of burning, which is um,
On the 19th.
on Wednesday on the 19th, and it goes straight forward to the 50th, which is the October 19th,
2023.
2023.
Okay.
So within that year, we have several events and opportunities and activations and negotiations. Because as you know, these albums are owned by Universal, the group, right? And what is happening is that we now, in establishing this platform, are educating them as to because they're not doing this. They've never done this. This is the first year Peter Tosh is being identified, the Burning
Wow.
album. They're in Get Up, Stand Up, just to give people understanding the track,
Yes.
that are on these albums. Reincarnated Souls, Dreamland,
400 years.
400 years. All of that is in this body of work. So we are expecting negotiation, with the major Universal as to how this is going to crescendo. Our platform is called the Four Stages of Fire because you have Catch a Fire, you know, built on Soul Rebel and Soul Revolution. So, it's a chock full of um, identity,
Wow.
you know. But the four stages of fire are ignition, growth, fully enveloped, and then decay, right? So over the year, we have four different chapters that we have projects linked to it, activations linked. We have a national poster contest. We have about 20 images of the whalers that we are to be presenting to specifically the artists of Jamaica. Because right now we have an international reggae poster
Competition.
competition
Competition.
where you have 1,000 entries and only two from Jamaica,
Wow.
right?
Oh.
So we looking at that and looking at the success of that, we are using this project to, drill down on our artists in Jamaica and, helping them to even be more involved
To find a
with the
place in it.
international reggae,
Yes.
yeah, competition
Yeah.
and what that organ. And as you know, we have the statue of the whalers
Yes.
that we are looking to build out life size. Our space that we'd like to go is at Bournemouth in East Kingston there, based on the history of the whalers and the scatterlights and the history of Bournemouth as a major,
Bon, that is,
music heritage
I think,
site.
I think the statue is going to deserve a conversation all on its own,
Yeah,
including
definitely.
what you're proposing for Bournemouth.
Right. Yeah, so it starts on the 19th, and our next major platform obviously would be early next year. You have both Bob Marley's birthday, you have Reggae Month, you have Bunny's birthday, you know.
Yeah.
Um, so a whole bunch of activations. We have music to release. We have
What?
what you call it?
So we're going to get a prelude,
Well, I was going to beg
pre-release.
that. When will we get something from the tribute
Next
group?
week because
You heard it
yes,
first
next
on,
week.
you heard it first on best.
And Pastor want to be the show to Morning Connection to be the one of the first to play some of
Yes, but
the tribute
Peter's
groups
Earth
output.
Strong. Yeah, Peter's Earth Strong is being celebrated as a strong because in Rastafari um, language we don't say we.
Yes. Oh.
We say strong. So you have
Oh.
strong head,
I
neck
just
strong.
realized. I just realized now what you meant.
Yes. Yeah, yeah. So it's strong of 7 days. So
Mm-hmm.
we'll be able after the premiere on Peter's Earth Strong,
Yes.
we'll be able to
Yeah.
spread it out
All
much
right. Well,
further.
we are staking our claim on being amongst the first. Um,
Yes.
I'm sure that I'm sure that we are entitled to some favored nation treatment. Thank you, Maxine. We have come up on the break. Amazing. It's 9:29. Would you? I certainly will call you back so we can wrap up the interview after the break.
Okay.
All
Okay
right.
then.
Good.
All right.
Welcome back, and of course, thank you for staying with us. In this final segment, we're just going to wrap up our conversation with Maxine and then, show our appreciation for your faithfulness during the week. Maxine, you still online?
Yeah, bless here.
Yeah. All right, so you,
Thinking
you
about
gave
it.
us a lot to think about, Percival and myself, just understanding what you downloaded to us earlier concerning the significance of preserving or building up the
Tribute
brand
concert.
of the group identity. Something that
Yeah,
we have seen done for other significant groups. You mentioned the Beatles, everybody knows that one.
yeah,
People know the Beatles more than they know the individual members, and that band has not performed in 1,000 years. So
yeah,
we do
yeah.
understand the value of the group
Right,
identity.
right. And
And
my relationship is as such, because the Wailers, just by working the other day, I didn't even remember that I was compilation producer for both Catch a Fire and Burning when I was vice president of A&R at Island Records. They came out in 2001. And then, as you know, my uncle, Clement Dodd, where I started in the business,
yeah.
that is where the group was actually fashioned with, the Scatterlights and, One Love and Simmer Down and, over 100 songs were created by them, in that
Wow.
period. So I'm able, and then obviously my work with the late Honorable Bonnie Wheeler gave me a bird's eye view, you know, on the process and the challenges.
Can I tell
So
you?
I'm able.
Earlier in the show, I was telling Percival that a unicorn is a mythical creature, that a unicorn don't exist. But yeah, you are a unicorn. Just
Well,
your
my experience has been
yes.
unicornish. Yeah. Yes,
That is the
actually.
definition because I mean you're not a person of antiquity, and yet you have had a personal connection across time with some very
Yeah.
significant cultural assets that has put you uniquely in a position to do what you're doing today. Um, how does
Yeah.
it impact, I guess, your chance of success? Because I think many may have even attempted or dreamt of it, but you seem to be uniquely placed to succeed.
For me, because being related so closely, you know, I'm interested in
Interested,
being popular, but he's interested in what his legacy um, represents,
doing what is right for the
So,
situation.
doing right, regardless of whether you like me or not, or whatever, or what your opinion is, or what narrative you have developed, I do have a mission, that life has put together. And so, I accept it. And out of it, fruits are arising.
Yeah,
No.
All of these things are arising.
are
And even my sojourn here in America, um, it is important because I find even being here now for the next project that I'm heavily involved in, which is the Dancehall Museum, Music Museum, that we have to find a way to raise the funding for the large objectives out of the international market.
yes.
And right, and so, I realized that um, you can't do it out of Jamaica. You can talk about it, but you have to do it in the market,
The
and
field of play is
field
external.
of play is external.
And why
And
is
that is
that?
something that being in Jamaica, we have not
We haven't
um,
fully understood it.
fully understood it and created our relationships with our own Jamaica.
that are pet to us. What you are doing has wide, such a wide reach for the common person that it's not the kind of project that I think our
It's like
leaders.
Obama. You know, Obama was successful because when he, was raising money, because he developed a formula where the ordinary person would put the $10, the $5. You understand?
Yes,
To affect change. Before you had to be, a big person with a writing a check.
to get a one big
So
check.
to get a one big check, to have that influence on the political system. And I think that is not just for politics, but even for our culture. That,
And
there are more of
and
us with $5 than,
then
that
you
if
have
we
one
create a
person
system,
with a million.
one person,
Yeah.
million, then you have to wait with that person, how that person thinks, or whatever,
Yes,
whatever.
and suit his
So that is
personal
one of the,
needs.
right. So that is one of the features of both the Whalers 50 project and the Dancehall Museum that I've been able to, you know,
Activate.
integrate and activate.
Yeah.
And it will be a major feature of how the small person, this, small consumer
Can have a
can have
say.
a say,
Yeah.
yes, in how this is, and not just
The
the
big man.
larger
The
entities,
big
be it
man.
political
Yeah.
or economic.
Yeah, I do appreciate what you're saying. And
Because
it's very well said.
I think what you're saying, Maxine, is very important. Because when the small person or the greater mass have a say and feel a greater part of the project, then it is sustained.
Well, look at what is his name? Cash pot. They're making billions because the small person can take the twenty
The
dollar
twenty
I mean, the
twenty dollars
supreme,
and the
yeah.
$50.
Yeah,
dollar
man.
Yes.
and define. So
Yes.
You
we
need that.
need to expand that towards the culture.
True.
Something that gives
You
back
understand?
to those
Gives
communities.
back and has something, because the reason why that can happen is because everywhere you have a cash pot machine,
So it's
everywhere a man can
pervasive.
run and right. So we need to have a music machine.
Hmm.
You understand?
Yes.
Where people can go and put the $20 and then you understand?
And
So that it
be a part
build
of
it
the,
and
be a
be a
part of
part
it.
of it.
Yeah.
So that even this thing that happening now with the banning of the music and
Yes.
so on and so forth, that you maybe you wanted to ban it yourself, I don't know.
Well, you know you're coming back
But
because we have to have a discussion on it. Um, yeah, censorship and public morality are, I mean, they're just like any
it's a
other.
big thing here. It's a
Yeah.
big thing in America. It's the same thing in Jamaica they're struggling with here.
Yes. Yeah. Nothing
Our
new
one is a
under the
little bit
sun.
more raw, but trust me, it's not a Jamaica only
No, no,
situation.
it's a people issue. Anywhere
It's a
people are,
people issue.
that will come up from time to time. And whenever you drive something underground, it only becomes richer and more influential.
Which is nature,
Yeah, so,
so sometimes it's time to drive it underground.
so it can grow.
So
I,
it can
all right, you see now you're bringing out the rebel in me. Thank you so much, Maxine. I do look
I
forward
thought
to
that was
seeing you
my purview.
to bring out the rebel. But you sat quietly and let Maxine do
that's
it.
Jimmy. That's
The
Jimmy.
rebel in me, touch a rebel in you.
You made Percy light up his spirit group. Please hurry home so we can continue the
All right.
conversations.
Bless.
Take care
Yes,
and thank you
looking
for
forward.
participating.
Take care.
All right, bless up.
You know that as Maxine said that I think the only way for something to be sustainable is when the greater mass have an input in it, because then it will not die. The legacy will be passed on
Yeah,
in terms of everything. So it's a principle,
it's a
great,
kingdom principle.
a principle of engagement, of people buying in and everybody seeing the good of it and say, oh, yes, I'm a part of it. So if I have a little part of it, then when I see you trying to destroy it with your not good intentions, I'm not going to allow that.
But it also allows for it to mutate into its next fruitful iteration. Earlier in the week, we spoke about matter always changing, never being the same. And each hand that touches it adds something to it or takes away something from it, depending on what you're doing. But
Never destroy it.
it is, yeah, the scientist in you woke up a while ago. I heard you say can never be destroyed.
Can never be
Yeah,
destroyed.
transference only.
Yeah.
So the
Change
more
into
people
something
who
else.
are in the chain, handling it, dealing with it, then you see it surviving and becoming something new and fresh and always though carrying the genealogy of its point of origin.
Original DNA.
And music, our music has done that. We're right now looking at every kind of variation
Tell me
of
about
the
it.
Jamaican sound being replicated, honored, enjoyed all over the world. I love what she's doing. She said so many things that's worthy of like a full discussion. We can only like pick one or two of them. You like the tribute group because I see you already rifling through your old records and seeing which tribute group you should invest in.
I'll be
Just
the
know that
manager.
the whale has already taken.
Whalers or probably
The
mighty
Whalers.
heptones or the heptones or the mighty diamonds.
But you know that you could probably light up tribute groups in different regions. So you
True.
could have an Asian whalers tribute group,
And
and
true.
then every now and then they come together and have a competition.
Major big
And then you
concert.
see who's, yeah, you could do that because when they do like the that industry of impersonators, they have competitions.
To say who does the best
Who's the
rendition of a
best?
song.
Yeah, who's the
Who
best?
touches
Michael
my
Jackson,
heart.
who's the best? Elvis Presley, whatever, and they have conferences. A whole let me tell you,
The whole industry.
a whole industry can be born out of it. Just imagine every lookalike whaler coming to Jamaica for the annual conference in Trenchtown. We'd need a hotel.
Have the hotel to
And
sustain
right
and
there,
keep
the
it.
hotel is born.
A spin-off
The convention center
is
is born.
born right down there.
Because, yeah, you see it, how it has developed around great personalities in the cultural space in America.
I really
And
like
that's
the
what she's
concept.
talking
That was
about. I
really
love the
education
concept
for
of
me in
it.
terms of the
Yeah.
tribute groups.
Yeah.
I know it maintains the legacy of what has happened and keeps moving it forward to another level.
Keep the light shining, man.
Yeah, man.
And then you do collaborations with contemporary artists, so you get a sense of what it would be like if if the Wailers did something with Lady Gaga.
Okay.
Just to take, two disparate
That should be
forces.
interesting. Or
Yeah.
Madonna.
Or Madonna.
Yes.
Because so those things become possible when you use that methodology to keep your
Or they might
story
say,
going.
no, man.
One day we're going to have a Pastor Percy tribute. Tribute pastor. I would say. And as Percy would say,
No, I would not say.
or as Percy
Fire
would not
burn.
say.
Diamond
Yeah,
Babylon.
but interesting things. I thought we would end the show on that note because we are still very interested in understanding how our culture can be the great resource that I know that it really is. When you look at it, how we cook our food, how we dress, our music, our speech, or songwriting, or screenplays, everything we put out. There is a world. How many billions of people in the world? 7, 8?
Yeah.
Did I just add to it? There's a world out there hungry for
Things
good
Jamaica.
entertainment, and Jamaica is a brand that sells.
All over the world.
Yes, that sells all over the world.
Can you imagine that?
Appetite for it is. There are not enough people in Jamaica to satisfy
Right, the
the
demand.
appetite,
The
the
demand
demand
that's
that
out
is
there.
there. So I know that our culture has the
The potential.
the potential to create great wealth for the people of this
Every
country.
single Jamaican.
Yeah, I know that it does. And I have we were talking about prophecies. I have the understanding that it will. But we have to teach persons to respect and to honor it and to see it for the value that it holds. And it's only then that you're going to be able to share it with the world in a respectful way. And it won't be just by singing songs that tell the story of our misdeeds. Some time ago, it's as if I saw this day coming. Do you remember when I was taking you and Lowell through Miriam's song? The prophetess Miriam, sister to Moses,
And, oh, she was singing about
did
what,
a song
when they came through Moses and what God had
telling
done,
the
Exodus.
tales of a battle and a victory. And the song was graphic in its recollection of
All
how,
of the things.
absolutely. And I was saying in those days, the prophet Miriam was really, the prophetess Miriam was really narrating the record of what transpired in the society, and it was a bloody record. Would that have been banned as glorifying
She was just telling
violence?
it, but I think it was one time, but I guess the problem is you keep repeating it over and over again.
Yeah.
You think that's what I'm
No,
thinking?
but you see, now we have the technology that can play it many times. This song was written so that the children of Israel
But
could
never-
learn
or
it
not forget.
and use it to tell of God's greatness in rescuing them, in saving them. That was the purpose of the song. Now, many might say that was not criminality, that was legitimate war. And telling the story of your military victories is not perpetuating tales of horror and gore, bloody encounters. But to the person reading it, it's the same thing. When you're reading it and you see what it's talking about, how many dead, how much blood, how much, that's what it is.
Should be interesting.
And the reason I had raised it, oh, you're looking for it. But Miriam's song, remember Deborah, the prophetess Deborah, who that other victory too? There was a song. It was very much the thing to commemorate these events in your history through songs,
That's true.
because that's how you handed them down from one generation to the
If you go
next.
through the songs, it's different songs. Like, and you always say, mash their teeth. And yes, you're
Break their teeth.
teeth, yes.
Yeah, it's so violent. Why am I saying this? It is just to guard against going too far in the direction of thinking that when you shut down the repetition of a thing or the publication of a thing, you have actually addressed the behaviors that gave birth to it. You have not addressed it
The
at
root.
all.
The root. You know, go to the root.
Yes. And there really ought to be a place where these things can be documented and recorded, and we know that we were at this place. Because that, in many ways, is how you prevent a repeat of some unfortunate parts of your history.
Yeah.
Not bashing the Broadcasting Commission for what they've done. That's the space in which they operate, and every man has to do what he can in his space. But you must do it knowing that it is only a small drop in the bucket of what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Public morality is to be safeguarded by public institutions. So in our schools, we speak against certain things being a part of it. On the airwaves, we speak against certain things being, in the public space. That's the authority we have, and it's what we can do. But it would be a huge mistake to think that by shutting down one thing, you have actually,
You're not doing it. You have to go to the root.
you have to go to the root. You still have to.
You have to
May I
deal
just
with
say
it.
then, thank you very much to all who have participated in this morning's free-flowing Thursday exercise. Thursday is the new Friday for us. Is it new anymore? It's been a year since we've been saying that. We start our weekend today, is what I mean to say. So you all have a wonderful weekend, and thank you very much. On air, online, and right here on site at the Ligony Club, back in the studio. Lloyd, thank you so much. Pastor Percival, your turn.
To say bye-bye. Thank you
Yes,
very
and of
much. It
course,
has been
thank you too.
it's been a very interesting time of conversation. As we go into the weekend, I invite you just to ponder your actions and to remember whatever you do, at some point in time, you'll be brought to book, you'll be held accountable. So if you start with the right motivation, then it means that you're sowing the right seeds and you get the right harvest and the right rewards. And this is for everybody, those high up, those low down, those in the middle. Just let's ensure that when we are thinking and we get up each day, Say, Father, am I serving you in the way I should, honoring you? And am I loving you the way I should, but am I also loving my neighbor as myself? Food for thought. Have a wonderful weekend. Please do not buck your toe as you go about your business day to day.
All right, sir. Wear shoes. Bye.